Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing so well. Good morning. Happy Wednesday, middle of the week. Welcome in. Hope everybody's doing really well. I am very excited. I have a bunch of stuff I want to talk about today. Sorry, I'm a little late. Let's
It will.
let's sort of get going here. As you know, Wednesday mornings for me are typically reserved for chats about music, answering questions from the community over on BlueSky and Twitter. X, I should say. I don't want to call it that anymore. It's also a time to talk about some of my gaming experiences that I've been sort of, reflecting on over the last few days. I guess drama, but realistically not. We don't do drama. Well, we do, but just not in the normal ways that people do drama. This is just a way for us to hang out and have good chats about music. So first of all, I wanted to update what we're actually talking about so that there's an agenda. And our agenda will be... It's going all right. How are you? Hey, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in as you come in. Take your time. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. You're here for a stream, imagine. So first of all, for today, I will pin the agenda here. Hey, Drizzly. Thanks for being here. Today's agenda will be question agenda. Oops. Shit. Agenda. Q&A. We will be listening to arcane music. Your music teacher told you about me. Really? We will be discussing conductor drama. Who's your music teacher? Maybe I know them. And then we will be looking at games I've been playing. Mr. Bowers? Cody or Christian? Hey, Dark Lord, how you doing? Cody? Cody Bowers? Or Christian Bowers? That's really funny. Hello. Hey, Serial, how you doing? Hey, Celica, no, I haven't done any PGR stuff. Have I tried Until Then game? What's that? Hey, David, how you doing? Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. We're just getting started, so... Christian Bowers. Oh, my buddy. My buddy Christian. Hey, Christian, how you doing? Wolf, how are ya? Dark Lord. Arcturus, how you doing? Huger, how you doing over there over on Twitch? How you guys doing? Let's pop up the chat actually so everybody can see each other. We're just going a little slow this morning because I'm tired. I'm tired. It's almost Thanksgiving here in the States, so we're getting ready. We're getting ready for sharing our plates of food with family. And hey, Chengi, how you doing? So I wanted to take this time. You're disassembling a printer. Fantastic. All right. So I wanted to hop over to, well, basically just Twitter and BlueSky. And I asked some questions. Any plans to do a PSO2 OST listening stream? It's only 10 minutes per song. Most of them that I've heard on Patreon are actually 10 minutes. Not at the current moment. My plan is to, you said PSO, which reminded me of Path of Exile. So I am planning a Path of Exile music stream. in 3 weeks time. Oh, thanks, Crankium. It's your birthday, huh? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Changi Chillin. Happy birthday to you. All right, let's dive into some questions here, shall we? So over on the old Twitter X, ciao Italia, non lo so a questo momento, se ti dico la verità. Ci penso, però non ho tempo in questo momento per sentire la musica. Oh, it was too loud. I'm sorry. So I asked, of course, as always, this is the time of the week where we ask questions and get some answers. And any questions you have about video game music that I can help answer on my morning stream, let me know. And Michelle, actually, Michelle organizes. She's the founder of a video game orchestra, Gamer Symphony, actually, which is over at the University of Maryland, and they do great stuff, actually. Now, look how insanely large this ensemble is and the choir, of course, up top. And they do, they promote the art of video game music, one orchestra concert at a time. And this is the kind of thing that is very exciting, because this continues to expand people's ability to be able to access performances of video game music away from the Distant Worlds concerts, away from the Nier concerts, away from the Video Game Music Live concerts. This is a great way for people to connect with music, and I think it's really special that we have these not enterprises, but these programs in place that are helping people to have access, at least in this case, within the Maryland, DC, Virginia area, to go to a video game music concert and have it be readily available. They do great work, and Michelle is lovely. So the question that Michelle asked was, and it was a great question: if you had $100 million, what dream project would you want to work on in relation to video game music? And for me, the only thing I can really think of is the fact that I would love to create my own orchestra, and sort of open it, present thoughts and present, concerts of video game music. I also would like to use that money and, throw it on the channel with marketing. I would love to see this channel expand and grow. I'm really happy with where it is now, but I also feel like it could be, 5 times as big with more money. It would be incredible to really be in a position to really even more advocate video game music as broadly as possible. So that's something I would really like to do. But more than anything, I'd really like to, if I had $100 million, I'd probably like to make a way for opera to produce video games. I would want to make it so that an opera company could somehow produce a video game based on an opera, expand it a little bit, deviate it slightly. I don't know how we would do that, but that would be something really exciting for me, because I feel like it would be incorporating the arts. It would be incorporating the, the gaming aspects. It's really complicated, but that's what I would do. That's for sure something I would do with $100 million. Over on BlueSky, DW Light, who's a regular at the community, asked, if you placed an order, at least top 3, what's your priority in picking good music? Hey, nyo ho, 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 ho. If you place an order, at least in the top 3, what's your priority in picking good music? Well, so sound quality mixing, soundscape, instrument choices, composition on paper sheet, vocals and tuning, if it exists, lyrics, if it exists, duration, the author themselves. I think, for me, sound quality soundscape would be number one. I think it's really important to have a very, very wide-reaching soundscape that fills and satisfies an emotional need, right? It doesn't really matter if it's orchestra, EDM, rock, pop, whatever. Like what I want is I want that soundscape to be just so crystal clear. Soundscape is huge. Hey Autumn, how you doing? I do think instrument choices would tie into that a ton. I would personally, like, the more operatic and choral, the more exciting it is for me personally. But like this fusion thing with EDM, and it's called artcore. I listened to some artcore yesterday on the rhythm game video game, the rhythm game chat. I'm sorry, it's like still so early, and artcore really stood out to me. This mixture of electronic with classical, that was something I didn't think about, and I didn't even know the title of it until literally yesterday. But artcore is like my new obsession. I love the idea of artcore. So I think soundscape, instrument choices, and then honestly, like, I think the authors themselves. It's funny. Unfortunately, I'm also predisposed to bias. So like, if I hear something from, is the light okay? Sorry, the light's weird. Obviously if it's Nobuo Uematsu or Keiki Kobayashi or, Soken or Goshina or whoever, I'm obviously going to, or Austin Winnery, like obviously I know what I'm getting. I know what to expect. So I'm naturally going to gravitate towards that. But the other problem is there's so much good music being written in indie games, especially, where these composers are creating terrific musical soundscapes and landscapes. But because they don't have notoriety, they sort of get caught by the wayside. And I'm guilty of it too. I mean, like I'm naturally going to be, leaning towards people I know, but part of the joy of music is the sheer discovery. You know what I mean? So I definitely think that authors would be third, at least in my top three, but we shouldn't forget how valuable and how important all musicians are and all composers are, regardless of stature and status, especially if they're trained and especially if they're genuinely good. And they're, they've worked and yeah. So that's my perspective on that. If I were to place an order, it would be soundscape, instrument choices, and then of course the authors themselves. That's really important. Now, I agree with you that reading a score while listening to a piece of music does so much for improving the thought process of like what's actually like being like. There's something about like picking up there's something that works super well when this is a recital repertoire, an intermediate piano, but it's actually too hard for me right now. Hey guys, welcome in. I'm happy to hear that, Autumn. That makes me happy. So here's an intermediate Studio Ghibli jazz music. It's, being able to sit down and listen to The Merry-Go-Round of Life as an example. It's one of my favorite Studio Ghibli songs, right? And being able to look at this and connect what I'm hearing with what's on the page actually enhances the experience a ton. And it makes it way more interesting, I think. Even if you don't necessarily, reading music is nice, but it's not necessarily a necessity. Like you can sort of like hear the patterns. And reading music is something that I definitely take for granted because I've been reading music now for, 15 plus years. So reading music is a special skill, but with like anything, you can learn it. So I'm just rambling, guys. It's too early. I'm struggle busting it this morning, guys. I'm not going to lie. Oops. Question for me. Number one, how and where did I learn opera and orchestral music? A few suggestions I have: Ender Lilies, yeah, of course, Cassette Beasts, and Anima Gate of Memories, yeah. I where did I learn? Oh, I went to school. Where did I learn about opera and orchestral music? I went to school. I went to school for 15 years. Well, no, it was actually 10 years. How many years was it? 4 years undergrad. So 4 years in undergraduate study. That was where I got my Bachelor of Music. That was where I learned the basics of technique. That's where I learned the basics of music theory. That's where I learned the basics of language. That's where I learned the basics of opera. That's where I fell in love with opera, was in undergraduate, because undergraduate, I would literally speaking of discovering music, I would close myself in the music listening lab, and I would listen to a new opera every Friday. And I would just sit there and just in delight. I just love it. I love it, love it, love it. And that was such a fundamental experience. So that was 4 years in undergraduate. Then I went to a master's program where I studied for 2 years, and I was performing opera specific. That was a master's in opera and vocal performance. So there we were taking classes in, which at the time I thought were sort of nonsensical, but I'm actually glad, because it made me a more well-rounded musician and actually prepared me for this accidental YouTube channel. So in grad school and for my master's, we were learning about opera history. We were learning about music theory. We were learning about concerto styles. We were learning about fugues, and we were learning about oh man, there was a bunch of stuff that we were learning about, like the ins and outs of what the history of music and its relevance to everything. Sometimes when musicians tend to be sequestered in their own little bubble, because there's so much that has to go into preparing and practicing, especially when you're in music school. There's a lot of juries and a lot of tests that are done based on your performance skills, which is sort of odd, because you would think that music, it's not really about that, but unfortunately it is, and in conservatory settings. So we did a lot of like grueling work. I mean, the pianists would be in their practice rooms for 6 hours at a time the entire day if they weren't in their lessons. And even us, we were in opera rehearsals. We were preparing for, concerts. We were in the choir. So there was a lot of stuff that had to be done. So that was really where that was also where I got like my anxiety flared up. That's where I really started becoming very stressed. That was when, things sort of went haywire for me in my personal life, where I really couldn't. I mean, it was hard. I should have quit back then, actually, but I'm glad I didn't. After that, I went to 2 years, the same school. I did something called an artist diploma, which was basically just more time to study with my teacher, with my coaches, more leads in operas, which was better opportunity to really get the sense of what it would be like to do it professionally. Then after that, I did something called the Young Artist Program for many years, both in the summers for 3 months or 6 weeks at a time, and then also year-round Young Artist Programs. So I did multiple of those before, that was about 2 years-ish, before then ending up at my final school, which was another artist sort of certificate. It's what is known as an opera boot camp, and this place has created some of the greatest singers of the last 20 years. It's a place in Philadelphia that I have very mixed feelings on, and it was very grueling. And I was there for 3 years. I left 1 year early. And that was also when I started my professional debut. So in 2015, that's when I went to the school, but I also started singing professionally at the ssame time. So they would release us for gigs and so on and so forth. So, yeah, it's a crazy, that was where I learned about opera and orchestral music for the most part, those experiences, and then interacting with colleagues and stuff. Love your work, especially in Destiny 2. Nice. Yeah. When it comes to music, it sounds weird. Yeah. You explore a new world, of course. Nothing wrong with being terrified to join conservatory or university yourself. So, moving on to other questions. Yeah, this is a great question. Can you talk about the usage of music or lack thereof in certain sections of games? Sections or moments of games where there is no music for impact, and or parts of music where where there is dead air for a few beats? Sure, I can. Let's dive into that really quickly. Hi, Marco. I'm an 18-year-old baritone. Do you think studying abroad for a bachelor's in voice could be worth it for an aspiring classical singer? My uni has no Barry teachers, so professor would be a tenor. I don't think you have to stress about what the voice type is for the teacher. A good soprano, as long as, well, a good soprano can get you where you need to go, especially at 18. I wouldn't stress about finding like the perfect voice teacher for you until probably early 20s. Depending on where you are, you're saying uni, so I'm assuming you're in Europe / the UK / Australia / somewhere that says the word uni. So in that particular case, if you can get yourself to the US, I think that the US has a better overall training programs. So you may feel better being there personally. That said, there are very good teachers in the UK as well. It's just going to be a little bit harder because the US tends to be a bit broader with how it approaches sort of expanding outward. But again, visa, there's a whole bunch of complicated issues. So keep working on your technique. But undergrad stuff like 18 to 22 is tricky. A lot of it's a crapshoot anyway. So I wouldn't stress it too hard, but definitely, if you can get to the States, I would, if you can. I'm very biased towards it, but I do think that the States make for a more complete and total package of, and I don't know what it's like now because I've been out of the system for like 5 years, but that's my take on that. So, I think the usage of music or lack thereof in certain sections of games is really interesting because there are several moments. We were talking about Destiny 2 just now. And in Destiny 2, for instance, in the Rolk raid, there are moments where there is no sound. And that's amazing. There's only audio design. There's no music. And other times there's this creeping crunch underneath that carries us through each phase until we actually get to the combat moments. And then that's where it dials up. Sometimes, if we have too much music, what ends up happening is that it gets a little stale for us. One of the interesting things, and this happens also actually weirdly in opera, it's a little bit different, but let me try to explain. So if you ever hear a really good singer live, if they're really, 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 really good, it's actually boring. And that's strange because you would think that a person who sings really well would be really good and it would be a joy to listen to all the time. But the problem is when a singer is too good, it doesn't have any nuance. It doesn't have any it doesn't have any of that imperfection. There's nothing about it that really makes you kind of prick your ear up. After a while, you're like, wow, this is really good. Anyway. And so I think much in the same way, if we have too much music and not enough ambient / audio design / sound, it sort of dulls itself. And this is the thing that we see a lot in JRPGs where there's really no downtime orally, whether it's audio, whether it's sound effect, and whether it's music. So you'll be in the overworld and you'll get your overworld music. Then you're in battle, and not only are you getting battle music, but you're also getting chatter. So it's like cacophonous. There's too much that's going on in that. And I think that can be to its detriment. Whereas, for instance, I've been checking out Stalker 2 and a Soulframe are two very good examples where there is some music. Certainly in Soulframe, there's a lot more music than in Stalker 2. But in Stalker 2, what's really interesting is that in between the moments where we feel this sort of unnerving sound / music, what we're actually getting is beautiful sound effects of the wooded area, of the zone. And that is actually extremely evocative because not only are we getting a little bit of music, right? Or there's a little bit of tension when the enemies show up and spawn on top of you. We also get to feel like we're living in the space. And Remnant 2 has a lot of ambient music, yeah. And so I think it's Eros Ramazzotti. I haven't heard that name in a very long time. That's so funny. So that's something. It's worth highlighting how valuable Dragon's Dogma 2 for all of its problems, and musically it was sort of bland. What I would say is that Dragon's Dogma 2 really leaned into its sound design. And its sound design made it so that you felt like you were like walking in a world that was alive. One of my favorite MMOs right now, Guild Wars 2, does this as well. It has gorgeous string symphonic music that plays over top, and you feel like you're in the desert when you're in the desert. But then there are moments where you just hear the wind, or you just like feel the way that your mount moves and breathes. And those things are super important because those things can also place you in the scene. So all that to say that music should not be a placeholder. It should not be just there because you need something. Music also, when it's implemented, should have a purpose, because otherwise it's just noise, you know, and it actually robs us. And this is interesting because this is a discussion that's come up quite a bit recently, is this idea of like, some people mute their volume and their music all the way down because they want to immerse themselves in the environment, right? And also people feel like they don't want to listen to music because it robs them of choice, of like, because here's the thing, music tells us how to feel. And like in an opera, our goal is to get you to connect to what we're saying musically, right? And so if the music is ever present, you can't really make your own, you don't have free will. You have no choice because the music is telling you how to feel, especially if you're in tune with how music makes you feel, right? So I think really good sound design is really important. And in some ways, I think that music and sound design, not even in some ways, sound design and music kind of go hand in hand because they both sort of do a similar thing. Take a game like Dead Space 2 or Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 is very, very specific to the point that people don't even think that there is music in Resident Evil 4, which is unfortunate because it's very good. I remember when I was asking people, hey, should I play Resident Evil 4? And they were like, well, there's not going to be a lot of music in that game. And I was like, really? But it's interesting because most of it's audio design, and audio design is going to get us somewhere and to give us that environmental storytelling that so many of us really crave when we're talking about video games and sound design. However, when there is music, it feels really intentional. And I think that's really interesting. Silent Hill 2 is a perfect example of that. Silent Hill 2 is oppressive. The sound design is interesting because the sound design borders on music, but really that metallic clanging and stuff, that's all audio design that then, if, you know, when the musical moments happen with Angela or whatever, or with Laura, or obviously the moment that we watched the VHS tape, like that's for the promise, that's when we really have music kind of enhancing that experience for us. And that's when music really is, you know, the best. So long-winded. Hopefully that made sense. Yeah, I don't blame anybody for muting. Are any games you think are overpraised for their sound design? You know what comes to mind is The Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 has incredible sound design. And really, Cyberpunk 2077 also has incredible sound design. The thing that's really fascinating to me about The Witcher 3, especially having played it for 500 hours, now, of course, that was 5 years ago or even more, but no, it was like 10 years ago now. But what's amazing about The Witcher 3 is that you can hear the wind rustle. You know, I mean, even Geralt even says wind's howling. You know what I mean? Like that's, and you feel it and you hear it. Walking into town, you hear the chickens, you see the chickens, you hear Roach, you know, the footsteps. Red Dead 2 is a prime example of amazing sound design. How much music is even in Red Dead 2? Not that much. Same with Red Dead 1. It's really about the lived environments and how they carry us through the gameplay experience. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's sound design is in some ways as important or more important than music, but probably they're on equal footing, I would say. Yeah, we should do another opera video. You're right. Don't worry about it, Ren. And if you can't get to the US, don't worry about it. Just keep going. That's all you can do. You have to really love it. It's very difficult, you know? But if you enjoy it, just go for it. Let's see. Hey, Roos, how you doing, buddy? What are my thoughts on usage of romantic era music in games? You know, it's funny. This isn't romantic era per se, although it sort of is. But most giant opera choruses tend to just borrow the sound of Carl Orff's Carmina Burana. Isn't that funny? Carmina Burana is one of the most popular... Luna, what the fuck? Did you guys hear that by chance? Luna is like right here on the floor and she's like just napping and she's sighing very heavily. I'm boring her. Yeah. Carl Orff's Carmina Burana is probably one of the most popular pieces of classical music ever written. And funny enough, most video game epic choruses essentially directly borrow from that. And that's not a bad thing. Like, Nostalgia of Phantasm from The Lost Ark is directly, not, I don't want to say copied because I feel like that's disrespectful because it has its own flair, but sound-wise, it feels very much like a Verdi Requiem. It stands on its own. But I mean, all like big choral stuff tends to feel like Carmina Burana, the Mozart Requiem, or the Verdi Requiem, in their size, in the amount of chorus used, and the way the instruments are punctuated. There's a lot of interesting comparisons, and I think like my dream. Speaking of what my dream is, if I have a ton of money, what would I do? Is I would program the Verdi Requiem or the Mozart Requiem or Carmina Burana on two separate, like on second half of a program, and the first half would all be video game music that is choral. So Nostalgia, Phantasm, Lost Ark, stuff from Babylon's Fall, stuff from Ace Combat, stuff like in the Proof of a Hero, some sort of like crazy chorus that's like, you know, huge. Ludwig the Holy Blade, Lawrence the First Vicar, you know, the Elden Ring final battle. And I would throw all that on the top half of the concert. And then what I would do is I would then program something that all opera goers know that's short enough to exist within a sort of 45-minute window. I would put that on the second half. And that would be so delightful. And I would love to spend money on that because I feel like it would be so cool to invite an opera audience and a classical music audience to come to an event where we're merging both worlds. And there's too much segregation right now still. And while I'm happy that there are concerts that exist, like the Distant Worlds concerts and the Genshin Impact concert and so on and so forth, I think there's too much segregation still. I don't know if you know this, but in classical music, in the music industry, especially in the symphonic world, there's usually two types of concerts. There's Pops series, Pops being popular. So your movie music, your video game concerts, your like ragtime musical theater stuff, whatever. On the flip side, then you have your traditional standard programming. And part of the problem with the classical music world is that a lot of it's donor-based. Almost everything in the classical music world, at least in the United States, is done through non-for-profit. So it's all done by generous donations by sponsors and individuals who are able to, you know, have been fortunate enough to make a certain amount of money and give back to the arts. That comes with its own share of problems because on top of that, you also have every piece of the industry is connected by a board. Now, boards exist even in for-profit, of course, but the board tends to be the one that has the general director's ear. And also, you don't want to upset the board because the board pays your bills. The board keeps the lights on. It's kind of like if I were to do something and my Patreon subscribers, it's a little bit different, but my Patreon subscribers would be like, well, I can't support this. They would leave. And then where would the funding be? You know what I mean? So it's interesting how I think a lot of these issues are the reason why the industry is sort of locked up in its specific patterns and functions and like standard protocols that so many of us that are younger really want to help shift, because it's like, yo, like, get with the times. We can only do, this, that, or the other so many times before we start to be like, yo, like, we can't do Carmen every year. We can't do Bohème every other year. We need to be doing stuff that's newer. So the idea of mixing and matching pops events, specifically in this case, since this is a video game music channel, a video game music concerts, the idea of splitting those in half and merging them with popular classical musical concerts with chorus, or if there's no chorus, let's say just with orchestra, because you have to think about money and stuff, I would just merge all those. Because then what you're getting is two different things. You're getting people that are coming for video game music, and you're getting people that are coming for classical music. And if you merge those things together, you get a beautiful marriage of both worlds. So suddenly, now we're exposing two different demographics to one incredible thing, music. And on top of that, we're also introducing them to new music. These folks don't necessarily know about the classics, and these folks don't necessarily know about what's going on over there in the video game music world, because video games are beeps and boops. But if we combine them, you know what I mean? Was that a question? I don't even know. I'm just talking. I'm just a professional talker. That's what I'm paid to do. I haven't played Sayonara Wild Hearts, no, not yet. Similarly to your experience with Ariadne off Noxos, I'm glad that you remember that. Is there any game soundtrack you didn't enjoy at first, but that grew on you? Maybe for similar reasons. Maybe not entire soundtracks, but definitely individual tracks. So, a prime example for me. So if you don't know the story, I was in a production. I had literally one line in something called Ariadne auf Naxos, an opera by Richard Strauss. It's terrific. It has become one of my favorite operas of all time, actually. And when I first sat down with it, though, I wasn't ready. And this is something that we need to talk about, is that sometimes we're not ready for music. We're not ready. We're not ready for things. We're not ready to hear things. And I think that this is something that's very interesting to me, is that there's a divide between like, oh, you should love this video game because it's really good and really popular. But if you don't like it, then that means that you have bad taste. No, it means you're not necessarily ready to play it yet. Prime example of this, and I'll get back to this question, is The Fellowship of the Ring. Right now I'm reading the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and it is fantastic. The previous time I tried to read The Fellowship of the Ring, I got to about halfway and I stopped. Bilbo's birthday is literally, I think, 15 pages. 20 pages of talking about every single Hobbit family, how they're related to Bilbo, how they're all connected, how they're not connected, what Bilbo's birthday means to him, who, the party itself, the fireworks, Gandalf showing up. And when I first read this, I was like, what the fuck is this? This is awful. This feels like a waste of time. But I was 23. Now I'm 37. And now reading Bilbo's birthday, I was like, oh yeah, this is incredible. Look at the way that they're describing the Tooks and the the Gamgees and whatever and Bag End and like all the different ways the Bag End is special and this and that and the other. And now I feel much more connected to it and I'm able to appreciate it, whereas before I was in a rush. Maybe because I was younger, or maybe because I wasn't exposed to the classics of like a slowed down type of literature, right? So the same thing goes for a game like Metaphor ReFantasio, or even though I've historically been very sort of blasé about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, maybe I will go back and replay, remake, Rebirth, and whatever the third one is when it comes out, and that's when it'll click with me. But we're very quick to dismiss, oh, well, if you don't like it now, that means you'll never like it and you have terrible taste and you suck, right? That's like generally broadly the sort of internet reaction to opinions that tend to differ from the sort of popular majority, right? But I'm having the same thing with Metaphor ReFantasio, where I know that Metaphor and I know that Final Fantasy Rebirth are good games. I know that they're fantastic games. But look at where I am in my life. I'm 37 years old. I do this full time. I don't always have time to sit down and play an 80, 90, 100, 120 hour game. And I didn't have time in 2015 when I was playing Persona 5, which I stopped after 100 hours. I was like, wait, I have 20 more hours of this? How am I going to lock in for another 20 hours when I've already played 100? So I just stopped. And so I know that these games are of a high quality and of a high value. I just may not be ready to really appreciate them and soak them up. 2 days ago, I was playing Metaphor, and they were talking about the transportation system and the fast travel system. And the fast travel system is explained in the game, but it's done so in a beautifully artistic way that is immersive and allows us as players who understand what fast travel is as a game mechanic to feel like fast travel in Metaphor, I don't think this is a spoiler, makes sense and actually elevates that experience because we know how it works in the game's like fictional world. Like that's incredible game design, right? Like even Rebirth. Rebirth is taking something that we know super well for those of us that have played Final Fantasy VII and enhancing it. And so how could you not like that? But there's something about tastes that change and our own lived experiences that change. And it's also something that happens in opera where the more that you experience a role, how you play a role or how you experience music when you're 20 is very different than how you play and experience music and a role at 40, right? Like that's 20 years of life. You know, actors, they say that, you know, you can connect to being a father if you're actually a father, right? You can connect more to, you know, maybe I'll connect more with Final Fantasy VII's remake process after seeing the whole thing through, because maybe the separations are what's actually getting in the way of me enjoying it. That's not to say I'm wrong, but it's very interesting how we expect because something is good and because it has critical acclaim or fan acclaim or what have you, that we need to attach ourselves to that thought process. And then if we're wrong, then we're wrong. But there's no such thing as that. You know what I mean? Like, long-winded way of saying that Ariadne of Naxos was a piece that when I opened for the first time, I hated it. I literally listened to the first 16 bars, closed the book, and then just decided to revisit it 4 months later. And this is coming from a guy that used to listen to music every Friday in opera and go to the listening lab and listen to a new opera every week. So, hey guys, how you doing? Hey Lloyd, Opix, how are you? Sorry, I'm mid rant. So all that to say, I had that experience with not so much a complete soundtrack, but with well, okay, I'll open this up even further. I had that with what's it called? Oh my God. The Herald of Darkness from Alan Wake 2. When I first heard Herald of Darkness, I heard it out of context at the Game Awards last year, 2023. I hated it. I thought it was campy, thought it was stupid. The dance felt very self-indulgent. I thought that it was superficial and it kind of bad, right? Was called an elitist, was called someone who just didn't get it. Blah, 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 blah. So what did I do? Well, I haven't played Alan Wake 2 yet, but now I'm feeling the urge to after playing Silent Hill 2. So I might be ready for it now. Now might be the best time for me to dive into Alan Wake 2 because I've experienced another horror game and recognized that Alan Wake 2 is as complex and as interesting, potentially, as Silent Hill 2. So I might be ready for that experience now. But also what I did was I started listening to it again and again and again. And Herald of Darkness, I actually love it now. Because I was like, oh, you know what? This isn't campy. Well, first of all, in context, which is what the point of video game music anyway is to listen to music and have it tell a story and have it move us through its storytelling process, right? But just listening to it as a piece of music, it's also delightful. But I was so caught off guard by the performance on the Game Awards out of context with the dancing, with the side singing on the front of the stage. It didn't make sense because it was not even out of context, guys. It's like pulled out of like it's actually pulled out of context so far that if you aren't in on the joke, it doesn't make sense. And so now that I've listened to Herald of Darkness and understand where it shows up in the game, I played a little bit of Alan Wake 2 when it first came out, and then I also explored a little bit of the game itself while watching the cutscenes, which is something I really like to do. We'll sit down with Mary and we'll watch through like a video game as a movie, because we're binging shows anyway, so we might as well, right? And it gets her interested in video games, so it's a win-win for everybody. I now understand what that's about. So to answer your question, the same way I felt about Ariadne of Naxos when I opened it for the first time, I also felt that way about Herald of Darkness. I also feel that way about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now, I have a feeling that my taste is going to change once I get that complete package of Final Fantasy Rebirth, right? But right now, where I'm at right now, I don't really care for it. In fact, I don't care for it. But that comes with, how can you not care for it? It's so good in a very emotional response, because Final Fantasy VII is a very emotionally charged game, both in terms of its plot and in terms of like the nostalgia factor and how fans connect to it. So all that to say, like it's interesting how we evolve. And I've been thinking a lot about this, about like how, some people that don't listen to video game music now or have it turned off or whatever, in 6 months to a year to 5 years to 10 years, they might be like, whoa, I never actually listened to the music of Elden Ring while I was playing it. What does it sound like? And then suddenly they're like, holy shit, I can't believe, you know what I mean? And why should we deny someone the epiphany of discovery? Because we want them to like what we like right now. And if they don't like it, then they're wrong, right? Or how can you not like that? Well, that's not really fair, because we all live our individual lives and we're all coming at this in a different way, right? So anyway, long story short, hopefully that answered your question. It was a good question. Yeah. I could see why you wouldn't click with Hamauzu. Hamauzu is extremely orchestral. Some people really like the simplicity of Uematsu's compositional writing, especially when we consider the original Final Fantasy. Now, his writing in Lost Odyssey is very different. It's a bit fuller. It's a bit more mature. But, Hamauzu is like orchestral from left to right. I mean, like the dude is basically writing. The dude helped with the orchestrations of Final Fantasy music for Final Fantasy Final Symphony, if I recall correctly. So like Hamauzu's like vision is much more grand, much more orchestral, and that's not a slight on Uematsu, because Uematsu is one of my favorite composers of all time. Uematsu is the reason I even got into music to begin with. Uematsu is like a melodic person. Like it's all melody focused. Whereas I think Hamauzu is much more texturally focused. And it's not a slight. I don't think One Winged Angel is not technically interesting. I don't think that Final Fantasy VI is technically uninteresting, musically, or certainly Dancing Mad. It's like a phenomenal piece of music. But I think that Hamauzu is thinking in a different way when it comes to orchestration. And so that might not be to everybody's taste. You know what I mean? You have an exam, but you're studying. What's your exam about tomorrow? The question was there anything that ever changed for me? I had an experience with an opera that really kind of turned me off and I didn't like it. But has there ever been a situation like that with video games where I was turned off at first and then I started liking it? The music in Rebirth is phenomenal. I mean, Rebirth is a work of art. Just because I don't resonate with it doesn't mean that it's not a work of art. It's very much a work of art. Shin Megami Tensei 5. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I definitely would like to take a listen. You think it was snubbed? That's interesting. I'd like to hear why. People take differences in taste as a personal attack, and this is a very common thing with music preferences. How can you not like this music? I love. What is wrong with you? Or even, oh, you like this genre? Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, I think, again, we're talking about something that's so incredibly subjective. Even the subject of the Game Awards, it's sort of like gaming. So gaming is sort of funny, because if you have any investment in gaming on the whole, whether from an emotional perspective, you can't really quantify like an award. An award doesn't really, it's sort of like, I don't know, it has a pandering essence to it, because like I might love some random obscure indie game, and you might be like, well, why the fuck should I care about some random obscure indie game? You know what I mean? Like how do you can't, music is the most subjective, and I think that that's also an interesting discussion about like music on the whole. When we think about music, whether it's in video games or otherwise, it's all personal journey. And so here we have a medium that facilitates use of music in every regard, in every corner, right? So much video game music out there. Some video games have 120 tracks. I mean, like insane amounts. Later today, we're going to be listening to the Metaphor soundtrack. It's like 100 tracks easy, if not more. Stellar Blade has 110. It's 10 hours of music, right? That's a shit ton of music. And so, you know, the thing we have to ask ourselves is like, how much is the subjectivity is, sorry, Luna is like breathing and adjusting, and she's such an attention. How I can't stop. She's so cute. I wish I could show her to you guys, chat. I just think it's really, really, really hard to present music to somebody and they're not going to connect to it the same way we will. Because our lived experience with music, regardless of whether or not someone else likes it or not, is going to be different. So someone may say, I like that. And you might be like, no, like it more. How? They don't have the same lived experiences as you. You know what I mean? Like, so it's impossible. So I think that's really, it's a fascinating subject that I've started to explore. I mean, like, you know, because right now I'm in a position where I'm doing a lot of batch content, a lot of like topic content, which works better for the algorithm, works better for various tastes, works better for, you know, because unfortunately YouTube really favors macro perspectives rather than micro perspectives. And so when you're too niched down, all the way down, it's really difficult. A prime example is something like, I mean, here, I'll just share this. Again, I'm ranting. Bear with me. I guess this is what we do while I'm here. Thanks for being here. Here's an example. November 25th, which was 2 days ago, I posted a video sharing 3 songs from Heroes of Might and Magic 2. That's sitting at 3,503 views, right? If we go down, November 20th, so this one has a 5-day lead. 5 games with incredible dynamic music. I workshopped this title several different iterations because it's really hard to make a video about dynamic music because dynamic music is a specific subject. But the idea of not covering something bothers me because we can't just cover something that's like popular. We also have to we have to cover these subjects, but we have to do it in a way on YouTube that sort of like works with the YouTube game. That video, 20,000 views, right? And so it's not to say that the Heroes of Might and Magic music is not important, because it is. But would it have been better served to put that in a video that also has other stuff in it that's maybe more popular or more recent? Yes. Why? Because micro is a much, much smaller target. It's a much smaller bullseye. And if you cast a wide net, so long as it's well thought out, that's better for everybody. So anyway, all that to say, I don't remember what I was saying. Math test. Shit. All right, let me catch up on 9 is, how did you guess 9? Yeah, 9 is my favorite Final Fantasy. Sakimoto. Oh, uh-huh. I'm still reading your stuff. Hey, Blue, part 2 got lost. I'm going to have to replay Project Wingman. I'll do it definitely in the new year. Today you walked into my teacher in the band room and he listened to Proof of a Hero. Hey, that's awesome. Yeah, Haven's definitely on my list. I agree. Uematsu's a rock composer at heart, and the melodies in rock music are, amazing. Marco, do you think it's a must to know its context behind the song or music before enjoying it? No. I get into a lot of heat for this. I think context is always going to elevate an experience, for sure. Especially, so here's the thing. When we're dealing with when we are dealing with music that is written for an intended specific purpose, in this case, whether it's opera or a classical music piece that has a story behind it, or especially video games, we're dealing with programmatic music. Okay, that's the term, programmatic. Programmatic music is different than absolute or complete music, which is about music for music's sake. But even then, let's not get it twisted, because we're also dealing with the lived context of a composer who's writing music for just to write it. You think Bach wasn't thinking about his emotions when he was writing a piece of music for the church because he was getting paid? He may have just been phoning it in, but I don't know a single composer who doesn't write music for the sake of writing. I mean, no composer writes music just because they want to make a paycheck. Now, maybe Bach was an asshole. I don't know. But the point of the matter is that, like, even that's programmatic to Bach's life, right? And so when we're dealing with video game music specifically, context will always improve the emotional sensation to it. And I used to say it didn't, but I was wrong. Now, one other thing I would like to add, though, as a caveat to that statement, is it is your job. I'm going to say this. Take me at face value. It is your job to connect to music away from context, if it's possible. Some people can't do that, and that's okay. But it is your job to try. Music is supposed to move us. And if it's in context and it moves you, that's great. But also, you should try to explore what it feels like to listen to a piece of music. And yeah, sure, think about the moment that, Aerith's theme, as an example. Of course, when I hear that, yeah, I know where I am. I'm thinking about that moment that we all know about. The worst kept secret in gaming, right? However, I also know that song is sad. And I feel its sadness, not because Aerith died, but because my own father died, right? So, like, my job as a sensitive person who adores music, who likes music, is to go beyond context, and like feel it within myself, feel what I need to feel through music, if it's possible. And again, I don't want to suggest that like someone's lazy for not doing that. I don't think that's true at all. But I do think that we have a responsibility to at least try to remove the context and try to tap into our own live thing. If you're a father, if you're a mother, if you're a person who's lost somebody, Aerith's theme doesn't have to be about Aerith. It can be about you. And in that way, isn't that even more powerful, that it connects you to two things at the same time? I think it is. That's way more exciting to me anyway. Like, it's great. I mean, yeah, of course, Aerith's theme, heart-wrenching, right? But I can also be like, man, or like, what's another example? Another example would be In the Balance from Final Fantasy XIV. It's delightful. It's a great piece of music. Do I feel like that moves me to stand up and dance and to feel powerful and to feel like, yeah, man, life's awesome? Yes. That's my context. Sure, it could be about Nald Fall if you want it to be, but like there's so much more to it. That's so much more interesting, I think, too, because all that stuff's ultimately not real. But you're real. Like, you feel. And even if you're repressed and bury that shit down, that shit's in there with you. So if you allow music to sort of do its job, get into you, fuck you up a little bit, it's an amazing opportunity for you to explore emotion. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to preach, by the way. I'm just offering to you what I connect to, and hopefully, you connect to it too. Smiles from Tehran. I mean, like, shit. You think I think about Umbra when I listen to that? No, I think about my father. You know what I mean? Anyway. Do I ever listen to OSTs in order, or do I just hit shuffle? Lately, I've been shuffling, but usually it's in order. What romantic era composer, if alive today, would be the most successful as a video game composer? Giacomo Puccini. Giacomo Puccini, Bryce. Because if you think about it, Giacomo Puccini was already doing that anyway on the operatic stage. La Boheme, Tosca, Madame Butterfly. I don't think they make great video games, but they certainly make great stories. Fanciullo del West, no one's ever heard of that opera. Fanciullo del West is literally a Wild West opera. It's a Wild West opera from an Italian who was, and this is the thing, exoticism is a sort of like funny word these days, but that was exoticism. Much in the same way that Bizet, who'd never been to Spain, wrote this music for Carmen, a story that takes place in the Basque area of Spain, right? The Basque sort of culture. So it's interesting how, like, anyway, that's a separate diatribe, but Giacomo Puccini would be so phenomenally good at composing because he already is so good at tugging at the heartstrings, at connecting us to strong female leads, to like an Aloy or an Ellie or whatever, right? And on top of that, he also wrote really well-rounded villains musically. So imagine, I mean, God, if he was alive today. Yes, original Silent Hills. Yes, I thank you so much, Noised. If you're still here, I do have a capacity and an ability to play the other Silent Hills, and it's absolutely on my to-do list. We won't, all these streams that I do Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday won't just be talking. They'll also be gameplay again. You just have to get back to it. You know what I mean? There's definitely going to be more hum music on the channel. And that example was not to say like that music doesn't have value because it doesn't bring in views. That's not at all what I was saying. I hope it wasn't perceived that way. And if it was, that's not what I meant, because that music is really good and really interesting and really worth bringing up, and people should pay attention to them. But the problem is that videos that are targeted like that are for the audience who likes them. And so what we end up getting is maybe you get someone who's curious enough to check something out. I mean, these are the things that I think about behind the scenes. I don't view you guys as numbers, but at the same time, I'm looking at the numbers like, okay, well, what as a strategy perspective, how does one ebb and flow through the different, I don't know any other YouTuber that talks about this stuff, but I might as well. So I'm like, okay, well, this video did well. The people that like Heroes of Might and Magic liked the video. And I'm sure there's many more. Let's also not forget that my channel is pretty niche and pretty small. So like, you know, how do we open the gates so that more people that love Heroes of Might and Magic or whatever game, specifically that game, come in, right? But so if we move it to a video that has a broader sort of statement about it, we end up getting people that are really interested in that may not want to watch a video specifically about it. And that's exciting because that means that someone might be like, oh, I like this video. I like Sonic. Oh, this is a video about fun music that is medieval. I love medieval music. Okay, I'll check this out. All of a sudden, they hear something from Heroes of Might and Magic 2, and you got a new fan, right? So that does everybody a service. It does me a service based on my stats and numbers, and also on like the work that's required to put forth a video, right? And then on the flip side, it introduces people to new music, which is always ultimately the goal. And it validates people that already like the thing. And yeah, I mean, those are the three things. How did I pronounce 8, Gisley? Don't even get me started on the whole DLC thing. Oh, thank you for doing that, Ultrox. Yeah. Would you be for a soundtrack that mixed elements of Nier and Skyrim? Fuck yeah, I would. Thanks, Lloyd. Yeah. Oh shit, I'm very far up. Holy fuck, I'm so sorry, guys. I love 15. I think 15 has a bad rap. I've listened to a couple others, Jake, but they should be on the channel, but I don't think I've listened to a lot more. I want to listen to the Tenchu soundtrack because Tenchu is a game I never got to play when it came out. I do think we should be critical about things we don't like. But here's the thing. Now, okay, I gotta just scroll down because I'm gonna miss a bunch of comments here, gang, because I'm not gonna be able to catch up with you. Let's talk about critiquing. Let's talk about how damaging critique can be. Let's talk about the difference between critique and criticism and constructive feedback and constructive criticism. Now, I can already hear the voice in my head saying someone's going to say that you're soft if you need the difference between criticism and constructive criticism. But there's a colossal difference. And I would hope that anybody watching this right now is also like, yeah, there's a big difference. Criticism is usually negative, usually deconstructive, usually destructive, and usually is not very productive. It's usually like almost like airing out a grievance or complaining about something. That's not constructive. That's not actually helpful. You saying, I don't like this because XYZ. Okay. That's you expressing that dislike, right? Constructive criticism, constructive feedback is nurturing. It boosts an experience by you saying, hey, you know what? I see the inherent value in this. However, this could be better and this could be better because I think this. Holy fuck. Do you see, like in the opera days, when I was in opera, there were times at this opera boot camp that I used to go to school at for like 3 years that they would tear you down. They would make you feel small. And usually when people do that, it's because they themselves feel small, but they don't know how to express that because life fucking sucks sometimes, right? But so like by bringing someone down, by destroying something, what do? We don't do we don't do anything but snuff out a light. Right? We snuff a part of it out by being just shitty on it. But if we do it constructively, holy shit, by constructively critiquing something, you actually lift something up to the point that you are a reason why it's better. And I find that is so much more rewarding. You know what I mean? Like there's such a big difference between the two. Anyway, I'm sorry guys. I don't mean to just like, I haven't listened to Mario and Luigi yet. I'm real. FromSoft music could be contextual, yeah, but I do think that FromSoft bosses don't need context. I think they're delightful with context, but without context, they're also very good. Yeah, Soapbox, yeah. Every day I'm shuffling. Oh, thanks, gaming. I appreciate that. Thank you, Joel. I didn't see that. Thank you. Before you became a singer or delved heavily into music, did you ever listen to foreign music? I feel like lots of folks have the opinion that you can't appreciate music in a different language until they do. But what do you think the biggest obstacle is when it comes to opera as a prime example? People are like, I'm not going to understand it, so why would I go? And I can't even blame them because for a long time, I also felt that way. Bro, I used to fall asleep at opera. I think opera could be fucking boring. Like, opera is boring. If you don't have a vested interest in the storytelling, why even go? I mean, like, who would go? Who would go? How many opera singers do you even know? One? A guy online that, maybe? Like, no one, opera doesn't feel accessible in the least. It doesn't feel accessible at all. And so, of course, like, why would you go to something where they don't even speak your language? Like, what the fuck? But there are ways to remedy that. There are super titles. There are literally at the Metropolitan Opera. There are the titles of what you would, you just need to look down and look back up. That's it. It's like using, you got to use a little bit of like multitasking. That's it. You want to see what they're saying? You look like this. You kind of cross your eyes a little bit and you look back up. That's it. Musically, you don't need a language. Music, depending on how it is, it can really transport you. You can feel it. I don't know what the fuck they're saying, but man, I feel sad. I mean, so yeah, I grew up in an Italian home. So we were listening to, Pino Daniele, Laura Pausini, what's that? Who's that guy? Lucio Dalla, Attenti al Lupo, all this stuff. I used to listen to, yeah. My dad, I've listened to Steely Dan when I was a kid, Jamiroquai, the Eagles. My dad was very into rock. My dad was a musician, so I grew up in Italian too. So, I grew up listening to a lot of foreign music. Yeah, Haven's on my list. Thank you, Joel. That's a lot of memberships. I appreciate you. Always doing it. Joel's dropping fucking... You're welcome, Dano. Thank you. At this point, I'm lurking. Okay, Joel. Soul Reaver? I haven't yet, but I'm really looking forward to the remaster, and then I really want to dive into it. See, some of that's also timing. Timing is really funny, and I think timing is like Path of Exile. Path of Exile 2 has been on my radar, but I haven't played it yet because I know PoE 2 is coming out. So what I'm going to do is around the corner, a little after, because I'm on vacation for a week when PoE 2 comes out early access, that's when we'll do a PoE stream, so I can record some of those videos and some of those songs and talk about them in one big video. And then we can talk about PoE 2, you know what I mean? So unfortunately, some of the process, and it sucks. I mean, this is like the YouTube game 101. I don't love that that's the mentality that one has to carry, but, you know, unfortunately it is. Who's my favorite composer alive right now? Keiichi Okabe is up there. Keiichi Okabe, Keiki Kobayashi, Uematsu, Soken, all the Japanese guys, to be honest with you. Austin Wintory, we're slowly starting to get to know each other better. I mean, there's so many good people. Yeah, more Attack on Titan, yes. I have like 5 episodes ready to go. I just have to upload them. I sort of slowed down on the anime channel, not just because I was an idiot and I filmed 10 videos 2 Mondays in a row. So I filmed 20 videos for the rest of the year. But then also I didn't get monetized on the anime channel. So I wasn't doing it just for money, but like the sort of impetus, I was like, really, YouTube? I already do this on another channel. Why can't you monetize me? Because all the copyright claims, like we knew that was going to happen. So it's been a little bit taxing. That said, I am reacting to anime on the Patreon. And that's been really fun. And I'm going to do more of that tomorrow before Thanksgiving festivities. I don't play that many games, but I love video games and video game music and art in general, so I don't know. Yeah, Nove, that's awesome. Ma meilleur ennemi from Arcane, but not a game. Yeah, I'll definitely cover that. Any plans to listen to others? Shoji, I should listen to more Persona. Was never perceived as the goals of the views. Man, the OG Diablo music is awesome. Sorry for asking for the 3rd time. Will you listen to Minecraft music? Maybe. It's copyright issues. Thanks, 9. I already have 3 videos in the docket, including the one that everyone keeps watching. That was alive. That will eventually be a video. What's my favorite game in terms of music? I used to work out to The Witcher 3 a lot. Loved The Witcher 3 soundtrack. Not all of it, but like bits. I love Nier. I just love Nier. Hey Zav, you're not late. Also, how are you able to guess so much of the game's lore by listening to the OST? The contextual clues are in the music. People love to shit on the idea that I'm somehow guessing or like I somehow know what's going on. I don't. No one has the time I certainly don't, to sit down and like read the fucking lore or look up the image of the character. Like, yes, the image of the character pops up on the YouTube channel. I can't do much about that. But in terms of like breaking things down, it's just clues. It's just, you can tell when something sounds happy or sad. And I've been trying to figure out how to translate this so that I can make a video on it so that you can do it yourself. So you don't have to come back here. I view this as a classroom. Come as you like. She's sorry. Luna's like moaning. Her life is very hard. I view this as an open door class. If you're here for class, that's awesome. If you're not, that's okay too. Like come in, if I could teach you something and then you can like kind of go off and enjoy it. You don't need to be here. I mean, I love it if you hang out. I love it if you watch the videos, obviously. I do them for me too, but ultimately I want you to learn how to do it so you can impress your friends. It's been going for about an hour and 13 minutes. No, I need to listen to more Arc. Bullying usually comes from lacking self-worth. Yeah, usually. Miso jelly. I don't really understand opera and I actually don't like it. Maybe because I'm 19 and I might like it when I get older. Maybe it's just not for me. Yeah, maybe. I didn't like it until I was like 20, 21. Have you listened to any? How many video game songs are in a made-up language? They all slap. I know. Probably a ton. I would say, at least 100, 50, 60, 70. I don't know. You were in opera recently? Yeah. They have the one over at the top, of course. Oh, thanks, Don V, for those 5. Appreciate it. Have you finished Dawn Trail? listen. I can't do it. I love Final Fantasy 14. I have hundreds of hours in that. 600, I think now. I love Final Fantasy 14. Dawn Trail, man, I can't finish it. I can't like bring myself to like. I miss it. I do miss it sometimes, but like the idea of having to like push through that story. And I have no problem with Wu Klama. I have problems with like the story pacing and structure, and it just doesn't do it for me at all. So I actually switched to Guild Wars 2. So I haven't even been immersed in the music of it at all, and I'm sort of wishing that like Soken could have a little bit more freedom with orchestra and stuff, because also the sort of VST sound is starting to get to me a little bit. So I haven't listened to it, but I probably should. That track wrecks you though, huh? It's that good? Oh, okay. Yeah, rants. Yeah, I know what you mean. What is this Q&A? I'm going to share the live video on all my socials. You can do whatever you want, Lloyd. You're free. See you, Dom. Oh, see you, Dom. Already left. Do you plan to review more songs from Archaea? Yeah, I think so. I started playing it last night. Are you planning to react some more? Well, they wouldn't be reacts because I know Final Fantasy X intimately. I haven't listened to the Catherine full body, but I started playing it the other day. Hey, Sav. I think it's good to listen to music you don't understand. It allows you to focus more on skill. Yeah, sure. Come as you are. Yeah. Girls und Panzer? Sure. Have I heard Sing the Slumbering Dragon? No. Did you like Wukong music? Wonder if it left an impression on people at all. I liked it. There were several tracks that were really, really cool. I don't think that it was like the best soundtrack of the year. I thought it was very effective for the plot. I really loved the headless Chinese singer. I thought it was really good at introducing us to more culture. Because if you think about it, the only time that I've ever really heard, is this true? The only time I've ever really heard anything from a video game that was like Genshin Impact. I mean, like that's the only time I ever heard traditional Chinese music in a video game. It was Genshin Impact. So I thought that Black Myth Wukong was a really good way to merge. I feel frustrated by Black Myth Wukong because I feel like it tried to get like kneecapped before it came out. Not it, but like sort of the gaming world tried to kneecap it. Now, your average person who doesn't spend time on Twitter probably doesn't even know about any of that stuff. And they're like, oh, cool, a game about a monkey. I'll check it out. And then suddenly they're like, oh, this is real. You know, again, we have to go deeper. I thought it was really good. I loved Black Myth Wukong. It was probably the hardest game I played all year. And it was definitely the game that challenged me the most this year. And for that, I really appreciate it. I also felt like I learned a lot. I thought it was a really good artistic. As a game, I thought it was based. I mean, like the gameplay was not revolutionary by any stretch of the imagination. I've not been shy about saying that. Do I think artistically it was interesting and diverse, and every time you turned a corner, there was a new experience waiting for you, a new enemy? Yeah, that's why I loved it. That's why I love games like Rainbow Six Siege, because every time you hop in, it's a new experience. That's why I love games that constantly change, because they keep it fresh. And Black Myth Wukong did that in a total package. And it was delightful, you know? How do I like the next tracks from trailers? Honestly, I have not been keeping up with Genshin, trailer-wise. I didn't care for the roller skating woman music. I have a complicated relationship with Genshin right now. Not so much Genshin itself, but I think I've not been shy about my feelings about Yu Peng Chen, and again, maybe listen, guys. I mean, maybe I am flawed, okay? And I'll be the first to admit it, that maybe I get stuck in my own way. Maybe I really like what I like, and I try to be open-minded as much as I ask you to be open-minded. but maybe I'm also stuck in my own ways, and maybe I have a hard time growing. I mean, it's also a part of my natural process. I'm over here just trying to live my life just as you are, right? So like, we're all a mirror. And so I'm trying to just also be open-minded and also listen to music. But I have not historically liked the path that Genshin has gone down. I read a comment, I shouldn't do this, but I read a comment on Reddit that was like, yeah, he gave like a superficial sort of like summary of the tracks. And yeah, I guess it was superficial. I mean, superficial enough for someone to say that. And if that's how one person feels, okay, well, how do I take that and process it and either improve or leave it or let it be? But I miss the sound. I haven't heard something that's really like blown me away. And it's not because I only know classical music. It's not because that's my preferred style. I like all styles of music, but I haven't clicked. And also, I mean, like, I really don't want to feel like getting into this, but all of Chinese Billy YouTube channel seems to think that I'm part of the woke movement against Genshin. And I'm here to tell you I'm not. The only thing I said was, if we're going to use singers that are Swahili to present the music, then why don't we just include some of those people in the game too? That's all I said. And I said it was an extreme shame, and it was kind of a misfire and a sort of a not the best choice to position themselves to be in like creating scenarios and in landscapes that are based off of real worlds. And that for some reason caused mass, like, to the point that there's YouTube shorts about how things are going weird for Marcomeatball. And it's like, oh, he should have kept his mouth shut, blah, blah, blah. He should have never gotten involved. And it's like, bro, just like everybody just like chill the fuck out. You know what I mean? For what? For what? A video game? Anyway, so I still keep up with Genshin, but not to the degree that I used to. And also I think it's healthier for the channel, frankly, because I don't see anybody being like, can you stop making Genshin videos? Because I used to get that a lot. I never wanted to be a Genshin only channel. So even the people that then were like, well, Genshin made him, he totally turned his back on Genshin. If that's how people feel, I can't stop them from feeling that way. But I try really hard. I was actually thinking about this before I came in. I try really hard, and this is why I get a little agitated, because I try really hard to make myself so abundantly clear, because I know that things get lost in translation all of the time, everywhere. I made a post about the other day how music is so special because it's live and we can't really pin it down, but then at the same time, we can because it's digital now. But if you go to a concert hall, you can't hear music live. It's so hard to articulate oneself. And we struggle with language. And so I always strive really hard in my relationships and my personal life to make sure that people know exactly what I'm saying. I don't speak in doublespeak. I do not speak in doublespeak. And so when people like make these assumptions about like something I've said, and thank God I'm a small if I was a bigger YouTuber, I don't think I could do it. I mean, like I would go nuts, just angry all the time. You know what I mean? But like people misinterpret everything to fit their narrative. And so you have to sit there and be like, well, I can't do anything about it. It's a funny thing. So like all I said was one thing, and that got spun around. So yeah, I've sort of distanced myself a little bit from Genshin, not because I don't care about the people that have always shown up in my comments for Genshin Impact have always been kind to me. There have been times, and I've never shied from articulating something, but that community, generally speaking, also went ahead and was like, well, he talks shit on the Scaramouche live video performance because he was jealous that he didn't get to be a part of it. When the fuck did I ever say that? If that was something I felt, I would have said it. When I auditioned for Boot Hill, I was a little disappointed because I felt like I gave a really good audition. I didn't get that job. That's fine. But also, people were like, oh, he stopped playing Honkai Star Rail because he wanted Aventurine to die because he really wanted to be Aventurine's voice actor. No, I didn't. I never said that. That shit is so agitating because, and we're getting off track. This is a question and answer session, but you asked me about Genshin, so of course I have feelings on it. It's like, I never said that. If I was like, man, I wanted Aventurine to die because I thought it would be interesting character-wise. Not because of that. I could give two shits. You know what I mean? Like, also, I audition for Honkai Star Rail at least once a quarter. I get those auditions. Do you know what that means? That means I know the plot. That means I'm less invested in the plot, playing it and listening to the dialogue. Also, there's no skip button. But anyway, that's why. So people are like, he doesn't play it anymore because of this. No! I also prefer Wuthering Waves as a game. It's so much more. It's too bad it's dying, but you know, I much prefer Wuthering Waves from a gameplay, combat, and traversal perspective. If I'm gonna play one gacha game, it's gonna be Arknights and that, and you know, others. I try all of them honestly, but so anyway, long story short, sorry. Anyway, that's why did you ask me that question? WoW Classic is not going. I've played all of 2 levels. I love the Magic Flute. Let me stop talking about Genshin. But that's what I've been feeling. I'd love to talk with Grinding Gear about it again. You're definitely gonna get a Monster Heil. Yeah, that one's been sitting in my chest because you can tell we're among friends. And if you're watching this VOD, just know that I mean nothing. I mean no ill will. Everything I say is exactly what I say. I do not doublespeak as a person. I do not doublespeak. Anything you're inferring, do not infer it because none of that is true. What I'm telling you is true. I will always tell the truth. Listen, I've done fuck ups. I've done fuck ups. The last war ad was a fuck up. I didn't realize the internet was going to be so pissed about the last war ad. I did not think that because we watch commercials and listen to radio all the time. I'm a voice actor. You know how many commercials I've done in the booth over here? Radio stuff? Those aren't real. Neither was the last war ad. But man, the shit I got for doing that last war ad, I will never do that again. It's not worth it. It wasn't even that much money. You know, and I learned a valuable lesson, but I'm also allowed to fuck up and I'm allowed to grow. It didn't hurt anybody. You know, it didn't hurt anybody. It wasn't like I was peddling alcohol and drugs. I was just saying like, you know, I just did what I was told and I read the thing. You know what I mean? But people are very sensitive about ads. I understand that. But it's also funny because everyone on the internet was upset about it, but everyone in my personal life was like, way to go. You've made it. You know? So, but then fucking, what's his name from The Boys, Homelander did it. At least he got shit too. So at least I felt good about that. Definitely Monster Hunter Wilds. I love Guild Wars 2. I haven't heard that from... I haven't listened a lot of 12. I actually stopped playing 12. I love 12, though. It's really good. I haven't heard any Jet Set Radio. Also on my to-do list. I'll definitely do more Genshin, for sure. If you'll make a new video on the newer Genshin music. Yeah. Once it's on the YouTube channel, I will. I think part of the problem was I wanted to get on to the stuff for the... I was actually really curious to hear, what's it called? It's music. Oh my God. Notlun's music. I just, Notlan? Yeah, Notlan. My brain. Don't forget that it's also 11:30 and I've been up for exactly 2 hours. Once it's official, I think it'll be better because what I was doing was like, let's listen to track number 8. And I think that came off as like not disingenuous. And I actually didn't like that. I definitely want to do more niche games. They're not as popular video wise, but I do think that they're important to talk about. Okay. They absolutely, I'm sorry, I'm so behind, guys. I'm looking at my chat bar and it's like halfway. No one speak for like 5 minutes. I'm so grateful you're here, but I want to catch up. And I don't like it when streamers skip through. So I really want to make sure that, that everyone, I'm reading every comment. So just bear with me. Okay. I love motifs and I love themes. The fact that like Undertale, you get a bunch of different mixes and then it moves into something and like all of it sort of connects. I love that stuff. Never genocide. I couldn't do a genocide run, but I will play Deltarune. Yeah, the Overseer I've heard. What's AMV? I don't recognize that line. Project Moon. Millie's weird. I'm really starting to want to. Yo, Nate, what's up, buddy? Okay, I'm skimming down. Anybody using woke as bad as not worth listening to? We can love a game and criticize it. I think that's fair. Music is a language. Yeah, I know. Well, I've been thinking about this because not everybody. Yeah, I know. It's a really interesting thing that music. This concept of music being a language is really cool. Um, I don't know. Thanks, Nine. Did the familiarity of Fontaine's music make you appreciate it more, or do you prefer the more unique sounds from other places? I think I prefer the unique soundtracks actually. Um, Fontaine just felt a tiny bit shallow. It's not that it wasn't pretty. It was pretty. It was very pretty. And my first impressions of it were really pretty. Or really happy. See Dark Lord, but I wasn't crazy about it as much. You know what I mean? But that's weird though, because when Mondstadt and Symphony of Boreal Wind and all that other stuff, I felt like that moved the needle slightly further for classical music. But maybe also I was fresher in Genshin. You know, maybe the worst mistake I ever did was start playing it because I familiarized myself with the sound and familiarized myself with the experience. You know what I mean? So Tamale muncher, me awkwardly laughing. uh, listen, Ace Combat is one of my favorite games of all time. Arknight's story will definitely happen more. Yeah, Nuclearis. Yeah, and I'm gonna try Girls Frontline 2 when it comes out. I won't react to Final Fantasy X, but we'll definitely like eventually feature a video on it. Yes. What's a war ad? Oh, Last War. I'm catching up. I'm catching up. I'm catching up. Reverse 1999. I actually love Reverse 1999. All right, I'm almost there, guys. I'm almost anime music video. Yeah. Demo 2, yes. Okay, I'm almost done. 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 Okay, I'm caught up. I can't, Luis. I can't react to Final Fantasy X. I played it from start to finish. It's not a reaction. Make a giant video on Castlevania. 1,000,000%. That's such a great idea. That's such a great idea. All right. Well, what just happened? I sort of blinked and all of a sudden did I just talk for an hour and a half straight? Jesus Christ. Okay, let's do you have any questions? How can I help you? Name every game OST. Listen, I took it really seriously when Josh Strife, I remember he talks a lot about entertaining. And he says he streams twice a week, right? Because he's so busy with his video series. I really admire Josh. He's someone I really admire as a YouTuber, and as a person, he seems like a really good guy. I'm really looking forward to hopefully connecting with him in the new year. And he says that he really feels like streaming is about entertaining an audience, and it's interesting to me. That's such an interesting idea because I guess it is. You know, I really admire streamers, and I also find it odd because some streamers are able to just like sit there and just play the game, not even like talk really, and people just show up, and I'm like, what the fuck? How? I don't understand that. And he has such a way with his words too that I really admire and appreciate, because again, same thing. I also strive to have, you know, a natural sort of like, I want to be clear and understood. He does have very chill, natural charisma. I agree. And so, you know, when I start going down what's everyone's favorite utensil? Listen, Blue, when I asked for questions, I don't think I meant that, but I'd say probably a fork. I mean, realistically, the fork is the most, I don't know, it's just, what media have I voice acted for? I play Marco Rossi in FromSoft in Metal Slug Awakening, which is a a Metal Slug gotcha game. I know. Uh, I've been in Genshin Impact. I've been in a bunch of radio stuff that you haven't seen. I've been in, is that it? I've done a couple of commercials for like, I think, well, no, just stuff. I mean, my voiceover career has been not expansive. It's been in radio and especially in e-learning, which is not sexy. Between Western and Eastern soundscape, which do you prefer? You mean like from compositional perspective? Probably Japanese. Do I plan to continue playing Ori? Yes. Yesin? Squadron 42 gameplay reveal? What's that? How do you slide into voiceover? Oh, that's the golden question. How do you get into voiceover? Take classes. Well, there is no clear way. I'll tell you that. The best way to get into it, network, which is for everything. We talk about this. Like, how do you get anywhere? Your network is your net worth, right? So, Squad 42 is a single player campaign of Star Citizen. Isn't Star Citizen single player? Isn't it multiplayer? Didn't they get like, wasn't there some like drama with that? Anyway, so voiceover, you get yourself a decent setup. You get yourself a soundproof. I wish I could show you. My closet is literally like, just, it looks like a padded cell in there. You just go in there, you know. There's always drama with Star Citizen. Yeah. You get yourself a decent mic. You really soundproof. Don't buy those stupid like shields. They're useless. That's an upfront cost. You don't have to get like the biggest mic, but you know, you get yourself a decent mic. You take a shit ton of classes. I'm talking way more than you think you should. Like at least 50. Then you find yourself with the network that you've been working on through Facebook groups, through like whatever, casting call club, what have you. You make yourself a very good demo. Very good demo, depending on where you are in the US, they range from $1,200 to $2,000. Very expensive. In the UK, they tend to be a little bit less, about $600 to $800. Then you do a couple different things. You reach out to agents, but ideally you have a body of work. You network. You go to cons specifically for voiceover. So like One Voice, the vocation conference. You network. Networking is everything, guys. You know this. Sorry, that sounded like I was pandering to you. I'm not pandering. You could direct market. You could go on LinkedIn. You could find your old college and be like, hey, I'm a voice actor. Don't say I'm starting. No one say don't ever do this. Like, okay, no one's asking for this advice. This is the one advice. I know that some of you are my age, so again, I'm not talking down to you. Please stop saying you're a beginner. Just do it. Don't say I'm a new XYZ. Don't say I just got started in XYZ. Just don't. Don't do it. Don't do it. It harms you so much more than it helps you. Not only is it showing insecurity right off the bat, which is okay to be insecure, but don't show them. Keep that shit to yourself. Tell your friends, tell your family, I'm a little nervous. Do it for, don't say I'm new, because that also puts you a step back. Look, when I was coming up in opera, here comes another rant. When I was coming up in opera, we would do these young artist programs. And these young artist programs were supposed to prime us for then getting lead contracts, right? But guess what? You know what they actually did? They made everybody insecure. And everybody began infighting. And there was drama and gossip and bullshit. You know why? Because we're all insecure. And we were like, well, what the fuck? I want to sing the lead of an opera, but I'm stuck here because I'm a young artist. I have to sing the secondary role. I have to do the cover, which is an understudy of the main singer, the main cast singer. So I'm not as good as them because I'm the cover. And that shit, after years and years and years, fucks you up. Don't tell people you're new at something. Just do it. And if you suck and if you fuck it up, you fix it and you do it again. Don't tell people you're new at stuff. You deserve better than that. You deserve to say, I'm a voice actor, or I'm whatever. You know, I'm a plumber, whatever. You go do the job and then you leave. Treat yourself like the way you want to be 5 years later, because then you're already there. You know what I mean? And I'll say one more thing. Something that really inspired me was always interacting with people that were better than me, because that's how you grow, by interacting with people at a higher level in music. I mean, obviously that's a little bit more complicated. Like, you know, if someday you aspire to be a CEO, try to find ways to connect with the upper management. And then not only that, but then you ingratiate yourself in that system. Anyway, I'm not preaching, but let's just say, you know what I mean? I don't like it when people say I'm new. I'm a new YouTuber. No, you're not. If you're doing YouTube videos, you are a YouTuber. Now, yeah, you may not have accolades or whatever, but like, I'll never forget it. We went to go buy a car for my mom, and well, she was buying a car, not me. I don't make that much money. And someone was like, "What do you do for work?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm a YouTuber." It had only been a year, and granted, it was at 80,000 subs already, so I felt really good about my progress and how things were going. But I wasn't like, I didn't apologize for it. I was like, "Oh, I'm a YouTuber. I talk about video game music online." Obviously, I am very proud of what I've been able to accomplish. I love this. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the channel, for supporting me. Can't be here without an audience and without subscribers, and patrons. So thank you for watching this. But point is that like, I felt really, yeah, I could have been like, well, I'm at 60,000 subs. We're getting there. It's why apologize for that shit? You know what I mean? So don't say you're new, but those are some of the ways that you slide into voiceover. Hopefully the fuck that makes sense. I'm sorry. I'm feeling chatty today. Let's say tomorrow is the last day on Earth and you can choose let's say tomorrow is the last day Earth exists and you can choose any piece of music to listen to for the last time. What would that piece be? I would say City Ruins from Nier Automata. I would also say, top of mind, Unsung War from Ace Combat 5. And yeah, don't inflate. Yeah, you don't want to be caught in a lie, of course. You don't want to say I can do this, this, and this, and this, and then you can't do those things. I'm not saying like inflate. I'm just saying like, I'm scared to scroll down and see what you guys have said. I'm very nervous right now. I'm just saying don't overinflate. Just say, yeah, I do this thing. We that's it. You don't have to say I can do this, this, and this, and this, and you can't, because that doesn't make sense. But you know what I mean? Good point. If I could voice any character in a remake of an old game, who would you pick? See, I would love to be in a Final Fantasy. Now that's not why I don't like Final Fantasy Rebirth. just preface. I would love to be in a Final Fantasy. Even additional voices, I would lose my shit. That's a dream. I would love that. I'd really like to be in Wuthering Waves, and I'm not. But I really, yeah. As I've continued to be in this wonderful career, the way that I perceive games has really shifted, and so I still play pretty much every game, and I did that before I was a YouTuber. But I sort of miss the like, I'm gonna play whatever. Who gives a shit if people like it? Who gives a shit if this, that? So I've been playing a lot of, this is unrelated to the question, but I've been playing a lot of survival games recently, which I typically do not like. But survival game, and I want to get into this for the last hour of our live stream here. I want to get into what I've been playing because some music has been really cool. I've been purposefully not playing games that are popular right now because I've been trying, well, that's not true. I mean, still do, but I've been trying to reconnect with my own personal tastes because people, and also like, truth be told, like I started the channel because I do love video game music, but I didn't realize how much video game music existed. And so I kind of fucked up, guys. I kind of fucked up because my whole world has been blown open by the sheer volume of video game music that exists out there. And I have had to reconnect with what I love. And also there's so much music in my brain because of Patreon live streams or because of like videos or because of like user suggestions, which I thrive off of. I don't know any other YouTuber, not to toot my own horn, but I don't know any other YouTuber that engages with their community as much as I do in terms of asking you your favorite rhythm game music or your favorite this, that, or the other. I love doing that with you guys because I feel like you know more about it than I do. And I've been playing video games since I was 7. And that, that was 30 years of gaming every single day. I think there was a 3-month spell where I didn't play video games every day. I've played ever since I got a Super Nintendo. I have played video games more or less. Obviously it's hyperbole, every day. And, so I've had to really take a step back and be like, okay, well, what do I like? What is it about? What do I like about music even? Like and also, it was really funny. On BlueSky, there's been a little bit of negativity, and it was really funny because I talked about how I don't really want to feel like an expert. I just want to feel like a person who enjoys talking about music, because sometimes there's like a pressure with like, I don't know, chord structure and all that other stuff. That's not what you come here for. And I'll be the first to tell you, if you're looking for like a detailed music theory analysis, you're not going to get it from me. What I can give you is like, look at the sheet music and look at the way that things are written and why things sound the way they sound. And especially from an emotional perspective. But if you're looking for like detailed analysis, go watch Davi Vosk, go watch Drumroll Tony, go watch Catharsis, go watch Alex Mukala, go watch these guys, because those are the guys that are going to provide that for you. But if you want to hang out, enjoy good fucking music, really connect with why we like it and what makes it good, I'm your man, and I'm thrilled to be that. But like, let's not, I'm not an expert except for the things that I know. And even then I feel like, I was asking Robert Toohey, who you may have seen in a previous video. He was the conductor that fell in love with FromSoft. And he actually messaged me today and he was like, okay, I finished all the FromSoft games. What do I play now? And I was like, you play Lies of P, you play Lords of the Fallen, you play Inotria, you play whatever, another Crab's Treasure, you play whatever. Right. So he always comes to me. I love that. Considering he was like my boss in my last gig. And now I'm like, you need to play these games. But I don't like being an expert because I don't quantify it like that. I mean, I'm just a person who happened to get lucky and has a skill set. That's like a plumber would make great videos because they may not know everything about plumbing, but they certainly can make good videos about plumbing. I forgot my train of thought, guys. I'm just ranting at this point. What was I talking about? It doesn't matter. Let me scroll down. Pentiment. Oh yeah. Do I like acting? Acting is hard. I think I'm a little lazy for acting. I enjoy it. I enjoy being a voice actor. I could be doing more. I could be taking more lessons. I could be doing more outreach. If I really wanted to, in an ideal world, it would be 50-50 between YouTube and voiceover, but YouTube's my baby. I love this job so much that like, I don't know where it's going to be in 10 years. Like all of us are going to go through our own lives in 10 years. So I don't know where we're going to end up, Will I be here in 10 years doing YouTube? Certainly. I don't know if it's going to lead to some other job opportunity. I don't even know what it means to really work because I did opera for 10 years. So that's a different kind of job. I feel really lucky I get to do this. I don't know. I'm down. I'm down to do this for as long as people want me to. But oh, that's what I was talking about. I was talking about being a critic. I don't really engage with music from an active perspective as much as I used to. So someone on BlueSky was like, I don't talk about music. I play music. And I was like, good for fucking you. What does that have to, who gives a shit? Good job. I mean, like, great. I used to do that too. Shit sucks. You know what I mean? You know, so it's just funny how people are, well, fucking shitty, but also just like, there's something wrong with, I don't remember what the fuck my point was, guys. I'm sorry. Do I have experience with contemporary classical music? Yeah, I do. It's not very good. I don't know George Benjamin, but contemporary classical music, I'll never forget when I was workshopping an opera, and it felt like I was singing on glass. That's how bad it was. Like it hurt my throat so bad. And then it was funny because right after we switched over to La Boheme, and it was like massage. I mean, it was singing higher. And high singing, guys, is really hard. Like high singing is like, it takes a lot of body, it takes a lot of like vocal like support, you know, open larynx, open throat, really like precision as we climb up, tons of vibrato. Shit's hard. And and I ended up, I'll never forget. I mean, yeah, contemporary classical music kind of bothers me actually, because I feel like actually the renaissance of music is happening in video games more so than it's happening in the classical music space. Classical music space feels very desperate to get contemporary classical music out, but a lot of it's self-masturbatory and sort of academic. Whereas in video games, you know, the only masturbating that's happening is with Kojima and with those of you that are playing Nikke. Other than that, everything is, you know, smooth sailing, and it's very, you know, sort of for the purpose of the thing. But yeah, I'm just kidding. I love Kojima, but, and probably just kidding about the Nikke thing, but I can't guarantee that. All that to say, contemporary classicals, I have very strong opinions about it. God of War. Yeah. FGO. My God. You got motivated? That's all I can ask for, bro. I mean, if you know if you know the basic structure for machine learning and machine being a, you know, the research that goes into machine learning, I don't see why you should say aspiring. Now, obviously you want to have experience in it, and hopefully you can get that experience. Like, soft skills were something I didn't really think about. So here's something that happened. When I quit opera, I straight up, and you know what's funny is that, so when I was an undergrad, back all the way, I refused music education. I was like, I don't want a degree in that shit. I have no interest in music ed. I want to be a fucking performer. I want to make buku bucks. I want to be rich. I want to sing my heart out. I want to get the applause. And honestly, probably did it for the wrong reasons to a degree, you know, because also, like, you know, I grew up in a small town and like no one ever left. And like, you know, I wanted to get out. I wanted to feel like I had done something. Because I mean, you know, a small town mindset. My parents didn't know anybody. The only friends were family, which is fine. Love your family, right? But like, I was like, your network is your network. I need to know more people because that's how life moves. I mean, everything is connected by who you know. And I remember, fuck, I forgot what I was saying again. I have too many thoughts in my brain. I'll come back to it. Oh, yeah, I got it. So when I quit, my dad was like, when I left literally my senior year of undergrad, I had a falling out with two of my choral teachers who weirdly are, rest in peace, are both dead. Not because of me, but they died. Not a necessary detail, but I did it for effect. I'm sorry. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this. So I just took my life by the balls. It was a stupid, no, it wasn't stupid. I actually am so proud that I did that. And again, I'm not self-gloating. I'm just hoping that maybe this will help somebody. And I said, you know what? I'm going to just go into performance. I'm not doing this music ed shit. My dad freaked out. Marco, you have no skills. What are you doing? How are you not going to get an education degree? You have no skills. He used to scream that at me. You have no skills. My dad was awesome. I love my father. Rest in peace. And when I left opera, officially when I was 30, so 7 years ago, I was like, holy fuck, I have no skills. I was like, uh-oh, I have zero skills. What do I do? And so then what I had to do was think about my soft skills and think about the ways that I could like, how did my lived experience as an opera singer help me in real world scenarios? So I was like, okay, well, I'm really good at self-marketing. I'm really good at PR, or I could learn, right? I have a good work ethic because I would sit in the practice room for 4 hours at a time. I did this, I did that. So I found the tangible things that were not related to that field that I could somehow attribute to my potential, skill set in that field. And so, again, reached out to the network, started to build that way. And that was how I sort of got there. So, aspiring machine learning researcher, what goes into machine learning? How do you research that? Okay. If you have tangible experiences with it and you've done stuff with it, are you aspiring? If you've never done anything with it, then yeah, you're aspiring. So you can't really apply to those jobs. But if you have experience in machine learning research, then why the fuck can't you apply? You know what I mean? Anyway, does that make sense? Oh, you're welcome. I'm sorry if I'm really not trying to preach at you. I hope you recognize that. I'm really not. You're asking really awesome questions, and I'm just I love obscure indie games, and I'd love to talk about them more. Yeah. You're welcome, Ame. Tokyo Conception. Can I drop my voice to Kratos levels? No. Boy. No, I can't. Is the shift more positive or negative in gaming these days? It depends on my mood. In general, I'd say more positive. I try really hard to be a positive person. Before I started this YouTube channel, when I used to dream about a YouTube channel, just when I was daydreaming, I used to want to call it Good News Gaming. And I wanted it to be a channel about all the good things that were happening, or playing really shitty games and still finding something good about them. So playing Gollum and being like, wow, this is a piece of shit, but this is really good. I often think about that, and I think others have started it. Do you have any childhood favorite game that kind of gives you life-changing experience? Yeah, Final Fantasy VII. That's the first game I ever did everything in from start to finish, except for the Omega and Ruby weapon. Was it Omega? Yeah, I did. It certainly was Ruby in the C, and then I think it was Omega. I did everything in that game. And that's the other reason why I don't have any pull to Final Fantasy VII, because I literally played that shit for hundreds of hours. You have to understand at the time when it was 1998 probably, so it was I think it was a year after it came out. I did everything in Final Fantasy VII, so why would I don't want to do that again. And this is the type of gamer I am too. I have a really hard time going back and re-experiencing something. The only time I've ever gone back and replayed a game is Red Dead 1 and The Last of Us. I've never done it again. The Witcher 3. There's 20 endings. Only done one. Can't go back. It's like saying farewell. Maybe I have a hard time with saying goodbye to people, right? Maybe I have a hard time with grief, or maybe I have a hard time revisiting things because I don't know. I've always been a person that moves forward. I really can't replay games unless they're whatever, casual or whatever. Bionicle? You really think so? I'm reading your stuff. Opus Echo? What's that? Opus Echo of Star Strong. What's Siva Gunner? Yeah, I'm not crazy about unofficial music because it's complicated. Because people, yeah. What game so far had been the most unexpected music compared to the actual game? What game has had the most unexpected music compared to the actual game? I think Nier. And not to always bring up Nier. I honestly, I'm not even like that crazy about Nier, but like Nier is an incredible experience. And I know you can't say both of those things in the same sentence, but I mean, who would have guessed that that's the music that comes out of a game? I mean, Stellar Blade's the same way. Stellar Blade, people on Twitter tried to reduce it to titties and ass. The game is amazing. And the music is profoundly good. Also, like, to give it credit, Genshin Impact, again, anime game, never used to give a shit about an anime game ever before I started this channel. I listened to that music for the first time and I was like, what the fuck, are you kidding? Ace Combat. What the fuck? If you like, superficially, if you like Ace Combat, why the fuck would that be that good? Like, Ace Combat music is stupid. It shouldn't be that good. It shouldn't sound like that. And yet it does. Yeah, Outward surprises me. Hold on, let me get a sip of water. I'm sorry. I said water and I drank a soda. It's healthy soda. This is what I drink. I'm actually going to take a break from it in December. Sponsor me. Answer my emails. Ultra Kills Layer 7. War Without Reason. Fair. Hey, Grease. Hey, Muffle Foo. Thank you. This is what you are, is a gorgeous piece of music. Any remedies to take care of your throat after a long singing session? Rest that shit. Rest, water, tea. Unfortunately, there's not much. I'm just reading here. Hey, Steel Sword, what's up? What do you think about mixing different styles of music? I'm going to interpret for one conductor who combines different styles. This time he will combine Arabian, Russian music, and orchestra. That's so cool. That's so cool. I mean, like, that's the way forward, isn't it? Isn't that, I mean, that's the way forward. Mixing styles is like, it's like, it makes a beautiful baby, you know? Like, I love that. Just yesterday, we listened to EDM mixed with orchestra music. It's called Artcore. Wow. You know? Like, there's so much, like, there's, oh my God, what's the name of this guy? There's an awesome composer who does like rap and orchestra. Oh, it's just like, oh God, it's like so good. Freeren's OST isn't original? What? Freeren's OST is delightful. And Kijura is amazing, yeah. Good morning. I love the video game. Ace Combat 4 is so good, yeah. Thank you, Assassin. You're welcome, Lloyd. Thanks, big man, for the motivation. You're welcome. Do you think Uematsu took inspiration from Ravel? Wow, that's a question. I don't know. I don't know enough Ravel. I feel like no, but it's possible. Yeah, but when you replay Ace Combat or Armored Core, it's like, because it's the way, it's the gameplay, it's the mechanic. It's different than like a story slog like Witcher or Mass Effect. I haven't not touched a Mass Effect. I played Mass Effect 2 and 3, never touched them again. Great experiences, but why? Like, no offense if you do that, of course, obviously. I haven't experienced Drakengard. Fighting game, yes. I want to do this. I actually emailed Max Dude yesterday because I want him to show me some fighting game music. I would love for him to say yes. Oh, if I do this, I look like Robert De Niro, by the way. Can you see it? Oh, what do you mean? I'm gonna make you an offer you can refuse. Well, that's Marlon Brando, but you get what I'm saying. I made that face what I was thinking, and I look like Robert De Niro. I'm so excited for Warframe 1999. I trust Matt Chalmers very much, but I hope that they don't lose too much of the Warframe sound and go towards this like hardcore, rock aesthetic from the 90s. Obviously Nine Inch Nails, probably not so much the Red Hot Chili Peppers, though I could see that. But like, I hope that it doesn't dive too far into grunge, that we lose. And so far it doesn't seem like it, but I hope that we don't lose. I hope that we don't lose the like core of that like taiko drum, real like, sort of Japanese, very fusion-y inspired. If anything, hopefully it leads to more fusion. If it's like rock Japanese fusion, fuck yeah, So speaking of classic video game compositions, the plan for the channel in the new year is to start looking at music based on decades. The best music of the 80s. And that's just going to be an ongoing series. The best music from the 90s. Whatever. Chris Christodoulou, easy 200 out of 10. Today's your birthday. And do you think some of the best composers in the video game industry could collab? I hope so. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Assassin 86. Happy birthday to you. On your live stream about rhythm games, I wondered if you'd be interested in checking out the gameplay maps. I want to play them for myself. I don't think Freerun's OST is necessarily original, but I do think that it carries that medieval soundscaping abundantly well. I mean, it modifies something that we've already heard for many, many years. And if anything, it actually pushes forward the concepts and ideas of what modern music or what medieval music would sound like in a modern way, which is to its benefit. Yo, have you thought about doing a singing opera life background video? Well, I did one. I did one about why I quit. I asked Tectone. I don't mind. I know Tectone has... I know that Tectone is a figure that some people really don't like. But I have to tell you that Tectone, to me, is pretty smart. Because Tectone recognizes what I was talking about earlier, about the fact that some people are going to make assumptions about you, whether or not you're honest or not. Tectone has said several times that he is perceived one way on the internet, but is actually a different way. And so he just gives in, and he's just essentially, I'm not saying this in a disparaging way, but he's like, well, I'll just play the clown because like, what's the difference? I could say anything and people will misconstrue it. And I really admire that, frankly, because that comes like, that's a perspective of age, and that's a perspective of not caring. Another person is Queso. Queso was talking about how, the streamer awards and how the streamer of the year, I saw a clip yesterday where he was basically like, everyone gives a shit. And it's like, bro, who fucking cares? Who cares? Who cares? Who cares who? Like, the people that are going to watch are going to watch. The people that are not going to watch are not going to watch. Whatever. Just like, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? I thought it was really interesting, but I would love to collab with Tectone. Since you want to know more about fighting games, Skullgirls. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I heard some of Kume. You're welcome. Hey, Hala, how you doing? You should definitely, when it comes out on Steam, I would highly recommend it. What are my favorite classical composers? Tchaikovsky, Verdi, Puccini, Mozart, Chopin, Liszt, Robert Schumann, Henri Duparc, French composer, went insane. Actually deleted, like burned half of his compositions. Very tragic. What's up, Joe Lolo? Bach is a little bit stuck up for me. Not stuck up, a little bit tight for me. I'm not crazy about Bach. Yeah, but Puccini's probably my top favorite composer. Liszt's Hungarian Rhapsody No. 2 is the stuff of my childhood. I used to listen to it all the time. Any track? Yeah, plans for Arcane Season 2? I might just do it right now. I've just been yapping the whole fucking time. Native country folk music? I haven't planned on it, but I certainly like country. Or, no, I hate country music, actually. But I do like folk music quite a bit. Rachmaninoff too, yes. Philip Glass is probably my favorite of the modern composers. Metamorphosis 2. Metamorphosis 2 is really good. Also, minimalism is something that we see a lot in video games, but we don't talk about it that way. Repeating undulating notes. That's Philip Glass. We hear that all the time. Let's say I want to make you react to zombies perk jingles. Would I need the Traviata tier? No, just do the Tosca tier. We'll do it on a stream. Do I know Pavel Chesnikov? I don't. Oh my god, I caught up again. Okay, what's up? After hearing the Megalith Agnus Dei from Ace Combat, I started getting obsessed with Ace Combat's OST, and now I just finished 4 on my way to 5, then 0. Haha. I think 7 is still all around my favorite. 5 is very good, and in fact, I'm doing a podcast episode on December 3rd, so next week, spoilers, next week we're going to sit down and listen to 5 so that I can have it in my brain. No, I won't cover Avatar. And Batman the Animated Series is something I've known for forever. Baten Kaitos, what a fun and weird game. I definitely want to listen to more in some capacity, just figuring out where to put it and how to structure it. But Baten Kaitos is really cool. What makes the music sad in your opinion? Well, the key, the rhythm, the melody, of course, all the fundamentals of music writing. I think that that's what makes music sad. Of course, knowing if there's a context or not, that also makes music really sad. But really, like a really strong melody line is really what does it for me. Usually in a sad piece, it will be slower tempo. The melody will be much more florid, much more legato, a lot of probably strings or horns or, a lot of French horns, especially that warm sound. That's something that will make music really sad. But usually those are the telltale signs of when something is sad. Will you listen to more Kevin Penkin? Yes, I will. I have heard some of Fire Emblem's thing. What's up? Lunch break? Pruitt Ego by Philip Glass was used in GTA 4. Was it really? The GTA 4 trailer? Really? Baten Kaitos. Yeah, the towns are really beautiful. Musically, too. Chesnikov is a Russian composer. He made a lot of sacred choral works. Oh, cool. Yeah, I can't forget about the Maguchkaya Kushka. Rimsky-Korsakov. Not Glinka. I just looked this up the other day. Well, if you guys are cool with it, I'd like to move on to a new... We have about 45 minutes, so I'd like to, I guess, talk about some music. Would that be cool with you guys? Feel free to stay if you like. This was really, really fun for me to just like talk, well, at you, I guess, but talk with you, for the last, 2.5 hours. I don't think I've stopped talking in 2 hours. My coffee's now cold as shit. Blech. Music ill. Baten Kaitos is really, now that you're talking about Baten Kaitos, it's really, it really is like no one really thinks about it anymore, do they? It's kind of sad. Do you guys want to see my dog? Is there anything in music that kind of makes you roll your eyes? Tropes? No, not really. I will say if something is non-stop, that gets a little. What was that song we listened to yesterday in the rhythm game? It was the Freedom Dive. I was like, holy Jesus. Oh, God. My favorite tropes are just like string melodies, delayed onsets where there's a little bit of a lift and then we move into a new thing. The Sawano drop, I'll never roll my eyes at that. My dog's name is Luna. Let me get Luna up on the couch and I gotta try to start training her to sleep there because right now she sleeps on the floor. Hey, go up. Everyone wants to see you. Go up. Go up. Go up. Go up. Dash Luna. Dash Luna. Luna. Why do you look so tired? You slept more than me. Hang on, let me go give her some pets. I wonder if I could train her to sit on this thing, on this chair. Nice cat. Luna, you want rubbies? You want belly rubbies? Everyone's asking about you, Luna. Is that my baby? Is that my baby? Is that my baby? Boop. Okay. That's a turtle. Train her to. Oh, that's funny. Maybe you should make a top 10 songs. Oh, Outward. Thank you. That's such a great idea. I actually will tell him that. Thank you. Okay. So, look at her with that paw outstretched. Did you like Omori? I have a lot of preconceived notions about Omori. Here, honey, why don't you? I'll let you out. Go. Part of me's like, Omori, I'm 37. Omori, I'm not gonna be able to connect with. I know it's bullshit, but I gotta like swoop in there and kind of deviate from it. So, in the time we have remaining, I'd love to. Well, first of all, take a break for 1 second. And just check some. I just need to check one thing. Okay. So I wanted to talk about a couple games that I've been listening to, like that I've been playing, and I wanted to talk about. Between us, your favorite OST of last year, FF16 or BG3? There is. That's hard. I would say. Ooh. I think Final Fantasy 16 should have been orchestrated. I still think it's incredibly dumb that it wasn't. The amount of marketing money that they used to drum up support for that game, it was everywhere. So many tours of the cast, and like, you should have taken $20,000 of that and thrown it at orchestra. It deserved it. There's one track in particular from Final Fantasy 16 that was bad. Like, I actually laughed at the VST horns, and I love Soken, so it's not Soken's writing. No, 16 wasn't orchestrated. It was for the Distant Worlds tour, but yeah. Bleach, Pawn, I would love to, but Bleach is a no-go on that channel. I'll have to put it on the Patreon. So I think Baldur's Gate 3 as a complete package. Now, there are like 7 tracks on Final Fantasy 16 that I love. But for all that music, I don't think a lot of it's memorable, personally. Maybe that's a hot take, but I think Baldur's Gate 3 is a phenomenal package. I don't think any, and I haven't even heard all of it, but no one can deny that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think anybody can deny that. What up? What up? What up? What up? Do I play an instrument? I started playing a piano. Oh, Rocky, that's been on the channel now for days. I did it last Wednesday. You can go watch it in the live tab. Seekers of the Storm. Yes. I unfortunately missed part 3 of On Mani Padme Hum, so there is a video of 2. Ascension to Heaven? No, we did not. Time is solid here? No. Interesting. Okay, so 2 things. One, yeah, I don't talk about movie OSTs a lot just because, I mean, I love John Williams. I love Studio Ghibli. I mean, I love Interstellar. We watched Interstellar this weekend, and like, it's so hard to not cry when he's like crying when Matthew McConaughey, I know it's a meme, but like, man, Interstellar's soundtrack is extraordinary. I think Hans Zimmer's a little bit overrated, but maybe because he's popular. So maybe I'm just being a contrarian. Murph! Murph! Oh, Murph! Murph! You know, he's like, like, yeah. Murph! Like the Dune soundtrack had one good track. like the main theme is the good one, and then the rest of it's kind of like, what the fuck. But I thought Interstellar as a package is very good. Yeah, I mean, Ludwig Göransson is wonderful. Yeah, 1,000,000% Nitro. They're like dialing it up, and then we got Hans over here, you know. The fuck was that? So what I wanted to do in the time remaining is I wanted to check out Arcane. I wanted to check out one song from Arcane. Well, I need to kind of decide here. I think I'm going to do Ma Meilleure Ennemie from Arcane Season 2. Just because, well, it's trending. Sorry. And then I also wanted to, I don't know anything about Arcane. There's other dog is yelling. I also wanted to check out a couple tracks from several. Don't spoil it, ideally. Ah, vous êtes français. Je ne suis pas français, mais j'aime beaucoup la France. Do I have favorite superhero movie music? The Superman main theme. Oh, it's from both. Okay, great. I know, we gotta watch. I think what's it even on? Netflix? We watched Fallout. We loved it. Netflix? France t'aime beaucoup aussi. Ah, bien sûr. Je suis tellement contente que tout le monde m'aime. It's all good. Oui, sí, yo hablo un poquito de español también. Es porque yo hablo italiano. Y... Yeah, okay, cool. Well, then we'll try to watch Arcane this weekend, because I've been wanting to. Do you think it's fun for someone who's not into League or anything? People say that, right? So, good night, 3 a.m. Cool. Then I'll definitely bring it up, because we've been looking for a new show anyway. Even your parents got into it? Wow. Okay. Casi perfecta. No mucho, pero un poquito. Fairy Tail's on that list. You heavily dislike League, and you love Arcane. Okay, so on top of this, we have limited time, so I want to make sure we crash through this and give it a really detailed analysis so that I can extract it and turn it into a video. The other thing I wanted to talk about today were some video games that I've been playing over the last couple weeks / month. Also, don't forget that this is today, I think it's today, the fall sale on Steam. So worth pointing out. Let's talk really quickly. I just wanted to grab a couple games just so that I have a sort of working path on some games that I wanted to. Oh, Shadow, listen. Returnal and me are not friends. As a work of art, it's beautiful. As a game, I hate it. personally. It's like a bullet hell meets roguelike, and visually it's stunning, but I can't. So some games I've been playing recently, Balatro. So I want to cover that main theme. Honestly, I don't remember the music of Dicemancer. How many games do I have on Steam? About 500. ESO. GW2. What else have I been playing? Oh, Hunt. I want to listen to Rise Up Dead Man. And mods, if we go over the time, that's okay. I've been playing Luma Island and Hyper. I can't remember what that name of that game is. I've also been playing Red Dead, but let's skip that. RoboQuest. I've been playing Supervive. I don't think it has any music. I've been playing Warframe again. And I've been playing... Don't talk to me about Battlefield 2042. I'm actually ashamed it's here, but I just wanted a shooter. I've been playing a lot of CS2. I am very excited for 1999. Hello. It is fun. It is fun. It's actually fun now. I have the real Ronix. I have like a playthrough of Resident Evil 4 and a bunch of stuff about I have like a whole video series on it. Check those out. And then I've been playing. Is this it? Is this really all I've been playing? I played a lot of. What's the other? Hold on. Don't judge me. I have a lot of games. I buy games. Okay. I buy games. There's one more game that I've been playing a lot of, and I can't remember what it is. What the hell? What game was it? Oh, Conscript. Oh, Deadlock. That's what it is. But I don't think Deadlock has a soundtrack out. Oh, trust me, I've played 500 hours of The Witcher 3. Oh, that's what it was. It was Dragon Quest 3. Oh, no, it's Metaphor. Metaphor. Dragon Quest 3. All right, I feel like that's enough for a video. That's like 10 tracks. Randomly down. Oh, no, here it is. Echo Point Nova. That's what I wanted to talk about. Echo Point Nova. Okay. All right, let's do some filming. You guys good? You feeling good? All right, let's get into it. So actually, in order for me to... I'm not ready, actually. I'm sorry. Echo... What? That's a funny video. Retiring from Final Fantasy 14, and it's the chains breaking, and it says 8 years later. Oh, man, that's funny. Oh, God. Hey, Spartan, how you doing? Welcome in. Okay. All right. I wanted Echo Point Nova OST. And I think I wanted to grab, I wanted to grab the... Yeah, it's this one. Really simple, sort of that. Oh, I don't want to listen to that yet. Don't play that yet. Then I wanted to grab Balatro's main theme. Balatro main theme. Then I wanted to grab, I don't think Luma Island. Yeah. Actually, I think... Yeah. Then I'm going to grab Conscript OST. I can't wait to talk about this game. I think we'll just do like... Sorry, guys. I mean, this is what happens when you're not on stream with me, so I know it's boring. Mort pour la France. Man, dying for France sounds very bleak. I'm going to skip this one. Man, RoboQuest is so much fun. RoboQuest OST. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, and then next should be Warframe. Login. Where's the new one? Kume and the Five Fates. Is this one? Yeah, this is one. Okay, and then we're going to grab two more. We're going to grab... Does Deadlock have a main theme out yet? Deadlock, and then let's do Dragon Quest 3 main theme, of course. Bella Sisoski? Sisoski. Bella Sisoski. Thank you. Metaphor or Dragon Quest 3's main theme. We're gonna do Metaphor. Battle theme. And then we will do CS2 main theme. What track from Guild Wars 2 should I play? For those of you that play. There's so many good ones. Sure, I'll just pick this one. The Battle for Tahrir, huh? Sure, why not? Let's do it. Or well, Attack on Tahrir. Hey, H-Mon. No, this is just me filming games I've been playing video. So Arcane is technically a video game IP. I mean, is it? Is it not? I don't know. Am I going to get in trouble putting this on the channel? Maybe. But today I really wanted to listen to Ma Meilleure Ennemie from Arcane. Like I said that in French. Arcane Season 2. I've never heard any of the music from Arcane. Very much on my to-do list. Also, I need to watch it ASAP. So here we go. I'm going to try to figure out what's going on. At the very least, I want to talk about the music. Let's do it.
T'es la meilleure chose qui m'est arrivée, mais aussi la pire chose qui m'est arrivée. Ce jour où je t'ai rencontré, j'aurais peut-être préféré que ce jour ne soit jamais arrivé. La pire des bénédictions, la plus belle des malédictions. De toi je devrais m'éloigner, mais comme dit le dicton, plutôt qu'être seul, mieux vaut être mal accompagné. Tu sais ce qu'on dit, sois près de tes amis les plus chers, mais aussi
encore plus près de tes adversaires.
Mais ma meilleure ennemie c'est toi, puis moi. Le pire c'est toi et moi.
Mais si tu cherches encore à voir, oublie-moi. Le pire c'est toi et moi.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good place to stop and talk a little bit about this. First of all, I mean, I have to say it's incredible. I mean, so for those of you that don't know, I was an opera singer for a decade. And in fact, my name is Marco. I was a former professional opera singer for a decade. And I love talking about video game music, or in this case, Arcane music from an emotional perspective. And obviously, this is interesting because Ma Meilleure Ennemie would be, you know, my favorite or my best enemy. And it's interesting how this ends up coming across more like a love song. Now, to be fair, I will say that these two are holding hands. So theoretically, they are in love, right? And the thing is that this music, the forward drive, really moves us at a quick pace, and it makes us feel the sense of rumbling antagonism. Which is interesting. And what I mean by that is that the beat helps us feel like we're on a runaway train and we're on a one-way ticket to like despair and almost like, you know, Romeo and Juliet, there's this constant clash where they really can't be together. And I feel like a couple different ways. First of all, this terrific vocal singing. It's very exclaimed, very this sort of like spoken parlato style. So it feels like it's really like from the heart because it doesn't have any of the veneer of like singing, right? And singing can be a mask for some of us. When we sing, we're not necessarily presenting our selves. We're presenting either a character or we're presenting a mask, right? A mask of who we are. But the way that the singing is in this is very candid and honest because it's direct. It feels like it's saying something very direct to us, right? On top of that, what we end up getting is this terrific duality between the male and female singer. And we get that oh vowel ooh in the chorus. Which again, it's like, I love you, but I shouldn't, but I love you, but this is very bad for everybody involved, and so on and so forth. And it's interesting how, let's take it one step further, and let's like look at the lyrics. The lyrics I love you, I'm leaving you. I love you, I'm leaving you. I love you, I'm leaving you. Repeated 4 times. Emphasis. You could say it once. You could say, I love you, I'm leaving you for emphasis. And it'd be like, okay, cool. That's good. But when you repeat something 4 times, notice that every single time it has to be ever so slightly different, whether it's emotionally different or whether it's actually using the text differently. You're the best thing that ever happened to me, but also the worst thing that ever happened to me. On the day when I met you, maybe I would rather that it never happened to me than to me. The worst of all blessings, the best of all curses, I should stray away from you. But as the saying goes, better than alone. Better than alone is to be in bad company. You know what they say, stay close to your dearest friends, but also even closer to your adversaries. Oh, I was right. Well, so that's very cool. And I didn't know this. Mind you, this is a true, pure reaction. I've never heard this piece before. I've never seen Arcane. I don't even know who these characters are, who they're about. I know like Jinx is in the show and that guy that can like rewind time or whatever. But like I'm still kind of like, I have a series where I, listen to guess the characters from their music alone. I'm pretty sure none of the characters I've talked about are even in Arcane. So like, let's reiterate that I've never heard this before. But it's interesting how it's interesting to me, coming from an opera perspective, that we have French chanson has not deviated that far from this style of music. A lot of French chanson tends to be very ethereal, tends to be very, very, there's a ton of unrequited love in art song in general, whether it's German lieder, French chanson, it exists. And the French are emotional beings and the French love talking about love. So it makes sense that this sort of like duplicitous relationship would exist in that sort of like French musical landscape. Not because the French are duplicitous, let me be clear, but because that was a joke, but because of the fact that musically the French are very good at singing about love and writing poetry about love. It's very powerful. And also if we take a listen, what's really cool about Stromae here and Palm is the fact that the lyrics, again, listen to how we're talking. Listen to how we're talk singing.
Ce jour où je t'ai rencontré, j'aurais peut-être préféré que ce jour ne soit jamais arrivé. La pire des bénédictions, la plus belle des malédictions.
La plus de bénédiction, la plus malheur de bénédiction. Excuse me, okay. I was in France for like 9 weeks. Okay, hear me out. But the point is that it's obviously rhythmically intoned, right? But it's all on one pitch, which makes it even more. It doesn't meander around itself too much, which means that we can really connect to it because it feels like it's just being said. You know what I mean? It's powerful.
De toi je devrais m'éloigner, mais comme dit le dicton, plutôt qu'être seul, mieux.
And this beat pattern helps re-emphasize, just to reiterate, the lyrics and the words. La plus malédiction, right? Right?
Pour être mal accompagné, tu sais ce qu'on dit. Sois près de tes amis les plus chers, mais aussi.
I love that too. Mais aussi, me as well, but also, mais aussi, excuse me. But also, I love that. Also, a word like also is not that big of a deal. But to go, mais aussi, that really hits home the idea of like, I've got another thought though, but also, even closer to your adversaries, right? Like it drives home the idea that like, that's the key. The key is the adversarial part. And that's why also is stretched out the way it is, I think.
Mais ma meilleure ennemie, c'est toi. Fuis-moi. Le pire, c'est toi et moi.
But here too, it's really interesting because it says, but my best enemy is you. Flee from me, the worst is you and I. But if you keep searching for my voice, forget me. The worst is you and I. And notice how that's where really like the plea of, but my best enemy is you and flee from me. Please, please leave. That's really like, I don't want you to go. I don't want you to go, but you gotta leave. You know what I mean? Like that's powerful. We got to talk about how good Pom's singing is there, because Pom does something really well in that there's actually like a pullback of energy and emotion in that. So what we end up getting is this very broken sound. Why does hearing your name hurt me? Right? Like it's very raw. It's very, very light on the chords. It's very like it dies out a little bit at the end of phrases, especially what she says when she says, "Why does hearing your name hurt me?" It kind of like does it, like that's all very effective. And ultimately, that's the thing that's really worth pointing out and paying attention to, how different these two voices are. Because Stromae's voice is very powerful, even though it's very low, right? Obviously, then together we come together, and it's almost like we both feel the same way. And yet we both also feel this way about each other, right? So there's a clash between the two of them, which is obvious based on the lyrics, but also like, holy shit, like I really, really like don't want this to be the case, but like, what can we do? I find it interesting that when we come together, it's because, but my best enemy is you, flee from me, the worst is you and I. But if you keep searching for my voice, forget me, the worst is you and I. They agree on that, even though, there's this sort of like back and forth of love between the two of them. It's very interesting.
Le pire c'est toi et moi. Mais ma meilleure ennemie c'est toi. Fuis-moi. Le pire c'est toi et moi.
Such a nice touch here at the end to go, je t'aime, je te quitte, je t'aime, je te quitte, right? But even still, I mean, like, if we think about it, how it rolls off the tongue in French too. I mean, it's just divine, T'es la meilleure chose qui m'est arrivée, moi, mais aussi la pire chose qui m'est arrivée. Ce jour où je t'ai rencontré, j'aurais peut-être préféré. I mean, like, it's so beautiful. The French language is so perfect for this type of, even better than Italian in a lot of ways. It's so perfect for the emotional songs. Emotional songs just sound good. I mean, we go all the way back to Edith Piaf and non, je ne regrette rien, non, je ne regrette rien. La vie en rose. So, it's the same thing. It's obviously different and a more modern quality to it, but I just love the way the French language lends itself to this rhythmic. And this is the other thing about French music that's so interesting to me, is that this is fairly rhythmic for French. I mean, French, when we think of French, we really think of legato, Le pire de bénédiction, le plus belle de malédiction, de toi, je devrais m'éloigner, mais comme dit le diction. Obviously, I'm saying it like in Italian because io parlo italiano. La pire de bénédiction, la plus belle de la malédiction, de toi, je devrais, obviously it's different, but, tu sais son que dit sur soi. Anyway, I don't want to embarrass myself for all the French people. All that to say, like, French language is sublime, and I think it really, really caters itself very well to this style of singing, and also to this emotional, musical impulse. And yeah, I mean, wow, what an amazing introduction to Arcane's soundscape. And I want to hear more, and I think these can live on this channel as well. I mean, they are technically from a video game adjacent. I think that's okay. Well, I guess we'll find out. Thanks a ton for watching this, and I will see you later. Bye. Nice, guys. I'm going to hop right into the other video because, well, actually, you know what? I don't have time. I wanted to do this video, but I don't have time. J'aime beaucoup le français. Le français, c'est une langue tellement plein de beauté et en langue avec yeah, c'est une langue tellement gentille, une langue délicate, it's a very delicate language. C'est une langue que j'adore, et je suis triste parce que maintenant je commence à oublier le français. je suis triste parce que j'étais à la France pour 9 semaines et maintenant, je commence à oublier tout le français. Et je ne sais ce que je pouvais faire à maintenir mon français. Mais c'est une chose terrible que près de 2 ans, 2 ans, je suis triste parce que je commence à oublier mon français. God bless you can't speak Polish. Well, dzień dobry, Ryspol. Ja jestem Jedli. Moje name jest Marco. Szaszyndzieje. Moja oliwka. Moje name... Close. Forget it. I'm never speaking Polish again. All right, guys. Well, I think that's where we'll stop here. We'll catch back in an hour for Metaphor Refantasio highlights. I hope you'll attend that if you'd like. I'm going to go take a vocal break and rest my voice and lay on the floor. Thanks a ton. I hope you had a great time today. Lots of great discussions that were really, really fun to listen to. So with that, I will talk to you in an hour. Bye, everybody. Take care of yourselves.